Welcome to the parody where we tell it the victims and all our favorite media. I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and today we're looking at the pilot for Murder Drones, released all the way back in 2021. This is one I'm pumped to be covering, probably just because the concept for the series itself is so cool. The old Earth humans had done a huge f*** up and accidentally blew up like half the planet, so now there are just worker drones remaining. They were put on a planet named Copper-9, which apparently the humans over at Earth didn't like, so they sent a whole bunch of disassembly drones. The disassembly drones themselves have such cool designs and are ruthless, killing basically any worker drone they see. The series revolves around student Uzi Dorman, who's trying to murder all humans. Her way to doing that is blocked by a couple of disassembly drones, but there's more to them than originally meets the eye. At least one of them's zero designation ends. He's more in these worker drones than his two friends. His so-called disassembly drone friends are J and V, who seriously, whoever designed them needs a raise immediately. It's a well thought together series with amazing visuals to boot. Seriously, for a web series on YouTube, this looks impressive. And it's also impressive that, to me, it's actually funny. And maybe it's because I've been surrounded by extremely unfunny dickheads the last few years, but hey, this series' humor is seriously awesome. And you can think the series isn't funny, it's just my own personal opinion that you shouldn't probably take seriously. Like, a lot of this can actually make me laugh without fail. And don't even get me started on the kill counting for this, because seriously, there is an entire spire of fucking bodies. I'll just count kills that I can see or bodies that I can at least get a direct count of. Which means all the big number fans that have probably flocked to this channel because of all the big number kill counts I've put out might get a kick out of this one. And I'm not gonna delve into the full lore right now because that is reserved for future episodes. And I want to do this thing justice because I actually have friends who love the show. So with that, my opinion that shot probably shouldn't be taken seriously by anyone except me opinion and the kill count quota, we can officially get to the kills. Or the murders. Or disassemblies. You know, who gives a fuck? The series begins with a booting up of some exposition about the so-called worker drones. These worker drones are by fictional company JC Jensen, who are in space! This planet has a core collapse, which apparently the humans on it don't give an absolute shit about, so they just decide to let the planet up and explode. Before said explosion, I could count 26 humans or drones who probably ended up dying in said explosion. That includes 21 in that previous shot and 5 in this shot before the Earth goes boom. After that explosion, all that was left were some worker drones and a bunch of bastard scalies. And it's safe to say that the drones replaced the humans on this planet, even them having babies. Unfortunately for them, a spacecraft crashed and made a crater, and I don't like what's going on inside of that. Oh, safe to make that assumption, that guy just got decapitated, holy shit. You motherfuckers are screwed. Oh, extra screwed when they start sending out bombs, killing even more in the process. I'm gonna get my count from various shots here, so there's 8 here, a detached arm, 1 dude praying for his life, in that family we saw a moment ago. And now after a fade to black, we still see another body in here. How many people have these things killed? After the title card, we see a pretty explicit reason why I can't discern how many people these things have killed. Using this frame, I can see 23 things protruding out of it. That is definitely not how many bodies are in that spiral, but hey, it's better than nothing. This spiral is apparently part of one big PowerPoint presentation. She uses an incitement of a state of panic only to present her sick railgun. She doesn't even know if it feels work, but she's feeling mischievous anyways. The teacher is tired by all of her antics and asks why her railgun is red. And speaking of which, that teacher is voiced by the creator of the series, Liam Vickers. The railgun incident caused a whole lot of injuries, and for some, that's not enough.
Ew, it didn't kill her. Oh my god, that's so bad.
After that, popular kid Thad comes in flaunting about his friend's toxic masculinity. Thad knows Uzi's name because of her father, Condorman, who really loves doors. He weirdly compliments her bandages before he asks her about her
Sick as hell railgun?
She says some stuff about saving the world and earning her dad's respect by going to the murder drone lair to grab something before she sticks that railgun up into Thad's face. By the way, you suck in a manga, I'm about to kill all of them, but like, you suck in a positive way, dude. It's free 3 a.m. that morning, and she's ready to do this. A lot of whip pans get us into the situation before she goes out the door, but she needs to grab that door master key. She eventually does end up getting the door open, only to get greeted with a con jump scare. When asked what she's doing over here, she makes up a lie about kissing her secret boyfriend, which gets a laugh out of him, but he can obviously see through it. She eventually makes up another excuse about studying the schematics of door 1 because she needs to build a door for her class. It works on Con and he lets her in for a bit, although one of these guys does warn her that all they do is play cards. And if she wants to know how to get bolts and build doors just like that, here's a wrench. Con does tell us about an unseen mother who I won't count right now. Remember, we don't have a visual what she at least looks like. I'll wait until we get a visual to counter, so that's at least in a later episode. He then proudly boasts that Uzi's at the doors! And with that, she's out to study the schematics of door 1. In actuality, she's walking past bastard skellies on her way to the murder drone's lair. She then steps on the corpse of an already counted worker drone. Why do I say already counted? Because, oh, fucking come on! This time I counted 48 more corpses inside the corpse pile, which may mean that I might have recounted some of them, but hey, it's endless possibilities of what could be inside of there. And oh, what could you guess here? There's more corpses! Bam! 41 more heads inside the murder drone's lair. This is just getting ridiculous at this point. Yeah, Uzi, just walk inside the murder drone's lair and come on! That is an entire 45 more corpses on the other side of that wall. I just can't catch a break here. No more spiral corpses are being counted now. Uzi finds an arm, decides it's useless, and then she finds that one thing she was looking for. Yeah, but something just popped up. It's a murder drone. And they're here to fish out some decapitated heads. Oh, okay. But Uzi's unlucky because this drone has caught her. This one is serial designation N. After doing sick moves in front of already counted corpses, she does a one-liner.
Whoa, and they said pirating all that anime was useless.
Uzi's impaled for the cannon and thrown away to her hiding place. Her railgun's nearby, so she has an idea. She'll fire it at serial designation N and cause some shitty CGI. But boy, is the result worth it! Oh my god, his head is gone.
Holy hell! Suck on that, Dad!
Directly afterwards, N materializes, so Uzi has to do some hand magic.
Did you just slap me with that arm?
Apparently, his railgun head explosion messed up over a lot of his stuff, so you can't tell that this is actually a worker drone. He greets himself to Uzi as basically the leader of these disassembly drones, although that's not really the case since everyone else thinks he's useless. She's confused by his unmurdery antics, so she goes away, although her hand still has that painful hole in it. And tells her that disassembly drone saliva is the only thing that can heal that, which is also the only thing that keeps him from killing himself. To do that and discuss more, they go inside that landing pod. That leads to whatever this is.
We are never talking about this.
Uzi wants to know who the other disassembly drones are, so N introduces them. The first one is V, who's being a complete psycho by killing Grant and his family. More so Grant in a very bloody off-screen affair.
And yet, I still feel nothing.
N tries introducing himself, but she just flies off instead. So yeah, very obvious mutual respect, and also N kinda has a crush on V. But then there's also J, their so-called leader in N's eyes. And oh, here's the tour for Uzi. Outside are over 200 corpses, and these are buttons. However, Uzi quickly realizes that this is a spaceship. She says that the worker drones and disassembly drones could work together to fix this instead of murdering all of them. The reason for murder is all the sweet oil! However, N just wants to do something useful. Uzi quickly tells him that the company's probably gonna dispose of him once all the workers are gone, and that's why he doesn't have any respect among them. Speaking of them, we're back from the elongated makeout session. V spots Uzi, proving N's point. J inspects N and sees that he must have knocked himself offline. Afterwards plays all the sweet worker drone footage. That basically means N's gonna die someday. He reboots and realizes his mistake. Oh, I gotta go murder people, bye-bye. Hey V, now that he's gone, shall we make out again? Back behind door number 1, those worker drones were playing their epic game of cards. But in runs N, who wants to close the door but can't because, oh god, there's something in the way. It's N's hand! Because, you know, N loves himself a game of cards, but more specifically, he loves murder. So he quickly uses his whatever that battery acid thing is to completely lodge the doormaster key in the scanner. 4 worker drones are in danger. All of these idiots decide to run away except Todd, who gets brutally decapitated. Jesus Christ, I love how brutal this is. Next up is Makarov and an unnamed worker who are killed by explosion or a bloody off-screen bite. The most brutal fate is Braxton because before he can say his name, he is literally cut in half vertically. That one's a winner. And goes up through the ceiling before Uzi's railgun can actually recharge, so when she tries to shoot him, it's too late. You know who comes in? Khan, after his makeout session with the Lorax. Drama cancelled, and farm go. The only reason N's in here is because he doesn't want V to be shot with her railgun. You petty bastard. Before Uzi can shoot N with the railgun, she is impaled into the wall. Uzi wants Khan to shoot N, but he doesn't. He just walks backwards. And instead, he just chooses to close the door. So Khan, do you want her to end up like her own mother, or? Uzi accepts her own fate, but is spared at the very last second due to N's own sympathy. But back from making out are J and V. He throws Uzi's body to the side, and hey, guess what? They're actually applauding him for doing something useful.
Nice work, N.
You need name, remember?
And if I have to say it out loud again, they're dating! After V goes into the ventilation shaft, Jay calls N a fucking stud. And you know what a high kill cam means? Autism. N remembers what Uzi said about JC Jensen and asks Jay what's gonna happen to them after all the worker drones on Copper 9 are done. Resurrection. He says the stuff about the worker drones helping them to fix the spaceship earlier and asks if the company really likes disassembly drones.
No way, buddy. Questioning the company? You just finally gave me the excuse I needed.
Oh damn! N is nearly added to the count again when a virus is inserted into him. Uzi comes out of hiding where N apologizes for ruining her card game and causing that awkward moment with her dad. She also apologizes for him for making him rebel against his own disassembly drones, which given their equal track record in attempted murder, or murder in this case, they're basically even. She says that was the latest turnover ever and asks if he's actually switching sides.
Being rebellious is a lot harder than it looks. Thanks for showing me the ropes.
Nuh-uh, no bonding thing. You just killed a bunch of people, idiot.
That's super fair.
But she's also willing him to let him fix it. Outside, Thad's been injured, as well as Jay walking out with a headless corpse. Khan suggests building another door quickly, but that's too late. Thad's being brutalized. Before V can kill him, she's stopped by, well, Uzi and N. When asked who he wants to fight, he wants Jay, but it's too bad for him. He's gonna have to go after V. Literally straight away, a pen is thrown at Jay. Uzi runs to go get something else, but as for N, yeah, you're going after V, like I said. To protect herself, Jay starts shooting copious amounts of bullet at Uzi, which causes her to almost lose her own life.
Damn the well-made, quality-assured durability of JC Jensen products!
That pen goes right back into her face as Uzi misses one of V's shots. When N is put into a corner, he accidentally shoots out hearts.
Ah! My mind's in a weird place!
Jay has an idea for Uzi. She's gonna send out an electrical shock that disables her, like, AI or something. She ragdolls down like it's Killer Beam while V and N continue their fight. Realizing Uzi's about to get killed, he acts on his urges.
Ew! What the hell?
Jay's not gonna let Uzi kill her so easily, so she activates a pre-generated monologue. That's cut short by an acid sabotage. She trips, so now Uzi has the upper hand. She shoots it and causes more shitty CGI as she completely blows off the upper half of Jay's body. V's upset at the sight of her girlfriend's death as everyone applauds Uzi for killing one of them. Yeah, but Khan came in, so now Uzi has to tell him that, hey, you fucking suck. Get out of my face. Khan has no further comments. That means I have to fly off. The show's pilot ends with her fantasizing about killing humans and her possibly starting a transformation into being a disassembly drone. And more disassembly. How many people died as the result of one big company fuck up? Let's find out and get to the numbers. But hey, I have something for you. That's because you've been a good viewer. Oh, wait, that's the numbers. No! My life is just great. Anyways, I saw 213 deaths in the Murder Drones pilot, which is a lot, but not exactly top 10 material. The victims included 36 men, 2 women, and 175 unknowns, most of which were just centralized in that pile, giving us a pie chart full of wires, human, and oh yeah, just a tiny bit of strawberry. We were running time of 27 minutes. That left us with a kill on average every 7.61 seconds. I'm gonna give Amethyst Flamethrower to Serial Designation J. That was gruesome, yet it did have some shitty CGI. Broken Pistol will be going to that entire spiral of corpses. I don't want to go through that again. Episode 5 was standing. And that's it. The Murder Drones pilot was released back in 2021 and so far has spawned 4 more episodes, which I'll be looking at before episode 6 comes out on Friday, August 18th. But until then, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and this has been the parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. If you haven't noticed, I went all out for this one, creating entirely new graphics and going all out on that background too. Seriously, there's a lot of stuff back there. And I'm gonna be covering the other 4 episodes, like I said, leading up to August 18th, the release of episode 6 of Murder Drones. And obviously that means episode 5 will now replace BFDIA as my birthday episode. Yippee! I try releasing these on a consistent basis, but that's gonna be hard considering I'll have to do 4 episodes within at least 10 days. But even then, covering all this is still gonna be fun since I'm starting to love this show. Anyways, thanks for watching. Welcome to the parody where we tally up the victims and all your favorite media. I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and today we're looking at the 2nd episode of Murder Drones Heartbeat, released in 2022. Sorry for the lack of title card, there's just not one in this episode. This episode right here is very confusing. Well, generally not the stuff with Khan, because that's all central to one location. It's mainly the stuff with Uzi and Fad that gets me confused. It's all mainly just a bunch of stuff that is introduced this episode. And there's also Eldritch J, which was rebuilt out of stuff they could find from her body from last episode. This episode was released over a year after the pilot in November 2022, and I say the wait was deserved. It develops the world of the show more, while also still having its funny moments. And Apology looks so silly, I just love it. And the animation somehow got even more impressive from last episode. The biggest introduction here is the Absolute Solver. That being an extremely powerful presence that lives in literally every single drone. What I'm saying is that it's basically what allowed Jay's body to be rebuilt. It can also recreate exact replicas of certain drones. And by exact replicas, I mean only drones that have been killed. Because with Thad, who's alive, it doesn't really work out that well, and you can very clearly see that it's a hologram. That only makes it a tad bit confusing for the count, since I can very easily see everything going on. And because the episode leans more into a horror side, it doesn't really have that much kills. Only a few deaths in this episode are on screen. Most of them are off screen, and you can tell that they're killed due to their exact replicas due to the Absolute Solver. Overall, another good episode for the show. How many people are killed just in a heartbeat? Let's find out and get to the kills. The episode begins with N being the butler for a whole bunch of shadowy figures. Damn, how come no one told me there'd be a manor like this? Also, these are some glitchy boys. He stops running to admire this amazing outside shot of the manor. He runs into someone who looks a bit familiar. How did they only manage to prove N's point even more? When they touch hands, a spark comes in and they accidentally start blushing at each other. Jay has to interrupt though, saying, "No, that's my girlfriend." And would you look at this? That's another shadowy figure along with another drone. However, that's all just in N's head, inside this pile of corpses. Inside the landing pod, Uzi's looking at this thing before she looks into her mirror and wait a minute, whoa, what's going on with her eye there? When V teases Uzi about said symbol, she highlights why she's the best character in the entire show.
Wanna do an autopsy to find out?
Hey, there's at least one person who agrees with me out there. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a lot. When N finds out he was the pilot, ew, angry V before she blows bubbles. N asks if killing all humans is a good idea, which, I mean, they did reprogram their brains to soup and they could be negotiating.
Not like they tried negotiating with my mom.
What comes next is one of the reasons I actually love this show now.
Or even miss the negotiations. The humans programmed us to solve a problem. Where's proof of your backstory? The one where your kind's so conveniently innocent.
and thinks that Jay was getting plans for someone, but Uzi says that's just complicating her murder plans further. We're outside the landing pod and we're now back to where episode 1's fight happened. Even if these two don't appear on screen for long, they still will manage to be charming characters, partly because of the Letterbot 5000 thing. This guy, actually named Frank, is left by the other guy just so he can fix that gaping hole in the ceiling. But elsewhere, he hears some noise. He continues hearing noise until he sees a streak of blood on the ground. Oily blood, which can only mean one thing. He goes and finds the brutal remains of Jay's corpse. Here's a zoomed-in robot bugshot. It causes electricity that drops Frank's flashlight. And in no time at all, these walls and Frank himself are covered by something called the Absolute Solver. Whatever this clawy thing is eventually kills Frank off screen. Almost 5 minutes into the episode, we meet Khan again. Of course, the teacher knows that Uzi's been absent a whole lot lately. Khan says that her behavior's been normal, door-loving, although her teacher would object to that. He presents a montage of her behavior, including not sitting normally, stealing another kid's sentience, and not wanting to pair with other students, because I mean they are rude to her, so that means it's trash can time. He suggests that Uzi has damaged programming and then asks Khan how she is at home. That is a very tricky question, considering that she's been hanging out with the murder drones. Someone interrupts and says that there's been a certain emergency. Outside, Uzi is sweating, but she feels way better than sweaty because she's literally God! Oh, hi Thad. I have one recommendation. You might want to give Uzi her sick-as-hell railgun back. Yeah, thank you. Nice effort, dude. And then Thad presents his sick-as-hell names for them.
Of course, N&M's.
Thad thanks Uzi for saving his life and says that the colony isn't necessarily serious about banishment.
The fact I'm too rogue to re-enter society now? I can never return.
The storyboarders must have gone all out on these shots because I love all of this! He mentions Jay's corpse because when he went to go grab Uzi's railgun, he says that it might have crawled away. I love N's reaction to all of this. We teleport over to another place within the colony where that other guy from that scene earlier sees the hologram of Frank, but it looks pretty shitty, dude. You know, I never mentioned it, but this guy's name is actually Tim. I don't know. Although it looks suspicious, he agrees to go stand over there with the holographic Frank. Tim, that's literally so insanely suspicious, man. It works though, and Tim is impaled by something that drags him up into the ventilation shafts, and after a bit, kills him in the bloodiest kill so far. That is seriously a pile of blood. Out at some other gates, Uzi, Thad, and N go up to a door. Firstly, he greets Thad, asks if Uzi was grounded, to which she only now finds out about, and asks about N being there. And about N, he goes up to the door and apologizes to all of them by handing him his own drawings and apologies. And with that, he lets all of them in, including N. He looks so silly here, I can't with this. I slow down this part just so you don't get epilepsy, but also to let you know that there's another murder. These guys are inspecting the crime scene that just happened while Uzi, Thad, and N walk past them. If they stayed, they would have seen these 5 worker drones disappear as holograms, and also, guess what? The entire crime scene itself is one. This also means that we can add 5 more worker drones to the count, since they were killed off screen. And this woman named Sarah's mug is even a hologram, and she gets some blood dropped on her, meaning that she's up next for the count. We could imagine, however, if Uzi, Thad, and N stayed and just saw, you know, this. That would have been scary. Back at the conferences, Khan really doesn't do all that much. And the teacher thinks so too, because he's playing solitaire while he's talking. Oh, and these two characters over here I haven't even mentioned yet. They're Lizzie and Daw, who were being mean to Uzi last episode. Daw is asked about her family, to which she just has flashbacks to death. And she even says as much, so in Russian. Lizzie doesn't give an absolute shit about that, but then sees a girl outside that she calls gorgeous. Although that is obviously not a real person, since I saw those cameras that go with the holograms, let's just take a moment to support Lizzie's decision in being a lesbian. Like, no one would just think about it for a second and then just proudly say it. Now we're back with Uzi, Thad, and N for pretty much the rest of the episode. Thad finds himself on a wall that may have to do what we saw in Uzi's eyes. Like I said at the beginning, this is the Absolute Solver, whose powers I also stated at the beginning. All you know is that it does have something to do to N's infection last episode that got cured. N makes Uzi shut up when they see what looks to be a hand on the ground. Thing, is that you? It's not, so it grabs Thad's leg, and when they follow the arm, it looks to be a giant worm thing. It starts his attack by flying Thad up in the air again. He avoids the count again to do a ninja star that severs the arm.
I want a freaking ninja star.
Too late, Uzi. And with that, Thad is dragged away again. They go in there and find out he's in the cryosleep section of this place. They find him, however, it's in shitty hologram form. They find out really quick that this hologram is from Jay, and the voice reveals itself pretty quickly, so a ninja star is thrown and Uzi kicks it in order for that to go extinct. And hey look, it's real Thad. Because of this, he just runs away from the entire episode, whoops. They squeal for a second until they remember there's a much bigger entity. They've been murdering to rebuild Jay's body and all they need is her head. It's also here that we finally see Nora Dorman, Uzi's mother, so I'll add her to the count. It's not working on Uzi, so Jay pulls out her eldritch head and threatens to kill some worker drones. She kills one of them by ripping off his head with her bare hands and then tossing his body to his side. The other worker is nommed into it in another bloody affair. Very quickly, some explosions pop in from N. Even more pop in until Uzi hands N her railgun, which was a big mistake. That was a hologram. Uzi takes some pretty brutal blows and is almost killed by the Eldritch J before N comes in with his chainsaw hands. The railgun turns red, some more chainsaw stuff happens, and they need to get the fuck out of there. Because, you guessed it, the railgun explodes. Everything there disappears and one of the cameras turns into a black orb? The bug that caused this is still well and tries sneaking up on them before it's stabbed multiple times by N's tail. And that too turns into another black orb. Uzi doesn't even know what to believe is real and what is not at this point, so N just walks away. Con and friends go in there just to see Uzi with her head down and walking towards him. And in a turn of events, she hugs him. He also looks at N. Back at school, Doll's sitting on the table alone and flashing back to the time Lizzie saw that gorgeous girl. Like a 30-year-old in Rec Room, she cancels the gayness. The bug, who's absolutely solved all of its problems at this point, just explodes. It's revealed that Doll was looking at a picture of V, who, speaking of which, is criticizing N harshly for his personality. I mean, she was stuck in chains the entire episode. The episode ultimately ends with Uzi looking up at all of her theories on the ceiling. How many people died because of another huge oversight at the hands of someone? Let's find out and get to the numbers. I'm totally not a hologram. Just don't forget me. Alright. Got that? Good. I counted 15 deaths, or whatever it was, in Heartbeat. The victims consisted of 10 men and 5 women, giving us this 2-to-1 ratio of dudes. We've seen this count one time before on the parody with zombies, which we covered last year. With a run time of 17 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 1.13 minutes. I'm honestly giving Amethyst Flamethrower to Frank, mostly just because I love the Ladderbot 5000 thing. As for Broken Pistol, I'm giving it to the 5 worker drones who were just revealed as holograms in the crime scene. I want to know how they died! And that's it. Murder Drones Episode 2 Heartbeat was originally premiered a few days before the wide release on YouTube on November 18th, 2022. This started off the first wave of Murder Drones content, which is pretty similar to how Glitch usually releases all her other shows. Until next time, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and this has been the Parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. I'm going to tell you the release dates for the next 3 episodes right now. Episode 3 will either come out August 11th or 12th. 4 either August 14th or 15th, and 5 will definitely be coming out August 17th. I can't necessarily promise these episodes will actually come out those days, but if they do, I hope you will have a good time with them. And if you had a good time with this one, well, thanks for watching. Welcome to the Parody, where we tell up the victims and all your favorite media. You're just gonna have to admit the fact that there's not gonna be a title card, but regardless of that, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny. Today we're looking at the 3rd episode of Murder Drones, The Promening, released in 2023. The Promening, well, can't you tell? It's a prom episode. Unfortunately for Uzi, she's been banished from seeing the disassembly drones. However, one look at the episode's thumbnail easily says that, yup, she just goes and meets them anyways. But how could they not meet again? It leads to the best part so far in the 3 episodes I've covered. There's a reason this parody episode is played up in the title and thumbnail. and also consequently the thumbnail to this video. I'd say on its own, this is one of the easiest episodes to follow the events of. That is, until you get to the end with all those bodies, come on! Before that, the episode doesn't really have that much cannibal kills. And there is also an introduction I'll leave to the very end. Will the new setting and new character introduction bring us more kills in the episodes to follow? I don't know right now, but I do know that we're about to get to the kills for this episode. Let's get to them. The episode begins at Prom 3071, where lights are being turned off before it even opens. We immediately get presented to what appears to be an entire board of missing drones. However, this female drone will probably be put on that missing persons report in no time. That's because it's pretty obvious to see that these cameras are being messed with. It's Doll, and she wants to start her own kill count as well. She starts off by tearing off her arm with the absolute solver telekinesis. And eventually this trio of butcher's knives goes into the worker drone's body off screen. Just so I don't get comments about it, I will say now that that student's name that you can see in the kill graphic was Kelsey. So there you go. Doll arrives back at home and greets her parents, although we have to remember now she doesn't have them anymore. We get some flashbacks over to last episode before Uzi ultimately wakes up. It's groan-worthy enough to where she groans through her entire day of school. That would basically be me if I don't get these episodes out by August 17th. She is knocked down from her stack of books, so she throws it at her, only to hit Brayden, whose head is burning. She then goes over to grab, like, another book, only to find out all about these 22 missing posters. She finds out about the murder scene and the tampered with cameras, and she puts two and two together. Yeah, Uzi, that's gonna come in use later. Some very fine additions to my collection, and hey, wait, where did it all go? Turns out it all went with Khan in a closet full of kooky insane stuff. When Khan walks on Uzi, she's mad at him for very obvious reasons. In Khan, she doesn't care about your rules, and she wants you to know that she can be vulnerable for at least 5 seconds. After she says she's gonna talk to En, she stumbles upon her dress. And since she's banned from seeing the disassembly drones, he has some other people that she can go with, Lizzie and Doll. Spoiler alert, Lizzie has a very memorable line before Doll does. And Khan's the chaperone, Uzi's worst nightmare. Speaking of the other drones, here are their outfits, and that En wants to look dapper and stuff. But Ed might have second thoughts about that. V, however, has other plans.
Show up fabulous. The sad purple one lets us in, because she has no friends. We kill everyone and pop her little head off.
Only half of that first point needs to be fulfilled. Only Ed needs to fulfill that first point. But En, like always, is worried about it because they had possibly grown up in a haunted mansion and Jay went crazy. Although this seems to actually upset V. She doesn't want Uzi and En getting into that stuff and promises to him that if he frees her now, she will only murder what they need to. Back at Doll's place, Uzi nopes out right away to hang out with her friends. Or friend. But the doors close on her right away. Lizzie's probably the least of the worries right now. What should be worried about is Doll's teleportation and all the missing posters in her trash can. Doll gives Uzi directions, which will later be a big mistake for Doll. And tries negotiating with V, saying that they can find out who they really are together, but V doesn't actually want that. Instead, En is actually decapitated by V in what V calls the best thing for En. Uzi gets herself right into a mirror, which also triggers the absolute solver. It cracks the mirror and Uzi hears something that she wasn't supposed to.
No one will notice she's missing. Just do your thing, and I'll let in be. We'll see you there.
But it appears that this tub with the red lighting making it look like actual blood is more concerning. What Uzi finds shocks her. En wakes up only to find that V is missing, so he tries exiting before he remembers Dapper ran. Uzi's search behind that curtain led to Doll's cracked mirror collection. She hears someone walking towards the bathroom, so she thinks fast. What about the vents on the ceiling? Doll walks in there and very quickly assesses what has happened.
Как они по-русски любят говорить. Ой, я должна была предположить, что кто-то сможет убежать через вентиляцию, используя выброшенное зеркало как ступеньки.
Uzi is very quickly running outside to call Annie when En appears in front of her. It then gets awkward in between them pretty quickly. I'm sorry, Uzi. In actuality, Uzi could use his help with him being there with her. There's way too many dancers here for me to count this prom, so it's a good thing that none of them end up dying. In fact, it's getting all the women and men interested. I saw that guy back there. Khan, however, is looking for something and sees the time. It's too late, since prom queen announcement starring Lizzie has begun. Since all the other candidates had mysteriously disappeared, she has a replacement. It's V. We gotta remember that was foreshadowed earlier on. It initially sends everyone into panic, but it turns out they were hanging out. Also, look at this for a second. See how she's staring at her? You see this? Do you see this? There's no way she's straight.
Prom queen?
Yeah, V, that's you. And with all of Doll's planning, it worked perfectly. There actually appears to be worrying before she continues the prom queen stuff. Her dad can also dock grades, and she also forces Rebecca to apologize to V. Her statement about her dad docking grades leads fans to believe that the teacher is actually Lizzie's father. When she does, everyone starts cheering. Khan thinks about leaving, but due to the absolute solver, the door can't be opened. V actually goes up to the mic, putting Doll's plans in full swing. However, Lizzie gets more worried and worried as she proceeds to step on the red X. Doll is about to murder V before V starts speaking on the mic. It almost happens before N and Uzi come in to ruin it. And here is where that amazing line happens.
On second thought, you're way hotter than Doll. Run, idiot!
How do you not see this? And also, plus, it says this on Lizzie's page on the wiki. I don't know if it's actually true, but I'm taking everything I can get. And also, plus, that other frame comes into play. Do you not see how any of this correlates? It's also unknown if this was an actual compliment or an attempt at flattery. But in the last episode, she did call Hologram, which, to be fair, was herself gorgeous. So, yeah, let's just say it was an actual compliment. Win-win! Doll impales V in both of her arms and throws Lizzie away. 2 people die, Penny with a neck snap and crushing, and another guy who just explodes. Before we get to the fight scene that happens here, I'm just gonna have a whole lot of production info. Murder Drones was produced by Glitch Productions, which falls under the SMG4 YouTube channel. Both channels on Guest Studios are founded by Kevin and Luke Liturgical in 2011 and 2017 respectively. Murder Drones is definitely Glitch's most well-known and popular series. Before Murder Drones, they ended 2 series they originally had, Meta Runner and Sunset Paradise, which, like I said, have now ended. Currently, this makes Murder Drones their only ongoing series. Not much is known about the show's production before then, but it was in production for at least a year before the pilot premiered, so let's just make an estimate and say that the show started production around 2020. The main character, Uzi, is voiced by Elsie Lovelock, who's having a time in the web animation career lately. She had voices in Meta Runner, the main SMG4 channel, and I don't think we're gonna talk about that. And here is voiced by Michael Kovac, who also voiced the SMG Zero Niles and Fred in SMG4, in Rocky Rickaby and Lackadaisy. Finally, among the main 3 is V, voiced by Nola Klopp. And also, brief side note, she also voiced worker drone Sarah, who did not die in Heartbeat. That was actually a completely other drone, and it was confirmed on her Twitter account that Sarah is actually in fact still alive. It should also be noted as a big coincidence that Elsie, Michael, and Nola had all voice on Poppy Playtime. Alright, back to counting the kills. Doll put some flashbacks into V's head, and apparently whatever happened here traumatized Doll. But seriously, now we're starting what's probably the best part of the episode outside of that one singular line. Doll throws a knife and cuts off V's arm. After N and Uzi contemplate about helping, V, Doll throws the ceiling fan with blades over at her, only for N and Uzi to save the day. I don't think Doll agrees. Meanwhile, the telekinesis keeping that door open is freed, so everyone can escape the prom. The reason why Uzi sided with these murder drones is basically because she's done solving all of her problems alone. N is impaled for a leg, and Doll starts throwing more ceiling fan blades at N, but N pushes Uzi away so he can save her. V's throw N and V way back. Meanwhile, Doll reactivates the powers on the door. Doll generates another knife and telekinetically throws it at Uzi, which appears to hit, but it just went for her hand, so she takes the knife out of said hand. Doll tries everything she can, but nothing she does phases Uzi. V finds her arm and is called a loser. A knife triggers some disco lights. I just gotta show you some more of his fight scene because there's no way I can put it into words. Uzi is trapped on the ground by whatever appears to be some more microphone stands, rods maybe, I don't know. Doll throws some telekinesis knives at Uzi only for N to stop the attack. This causes some insane choreography that goes along with the music in the background, which ends with an explosion and some knife throwing that almost hits Doll. I have to commend the scores for a second because it is legitimately amazing. And if I don't say anything positive about it, V's gonna kill me in my sleep. Huge shout out to Murder Drones composer AJ Despirito, who literally made every single song in the show, and I guarantee you each and every one of them is good. The music being played during this scene, the knife dance, is a fan favorite among fans, and I can totally see why. And in Uzi have a small character moment before the fight continues. And I just have to show you the rest of this fight scene. It is legitimately the best part of the show I've covered so far. No contest. Doll almost kills Uzi with the absolute solver before V shoots her through the face. Let's count this for fun, partially because it was V. However, I will say now that Doll does come back in future episodes. However, Uzi doesn't like the fact that V has just killed Doll. Her reasoning is that they needed answers from her. However, not all hope is lost as Doll's keys have been found. All of them enter her, living quarters only to see, come on! Counting all 23 worker drones here would have been absolutely hard if not for the fact that earlier we saw a whole bunch of missing posters. In that shot earlier, I could count 22. The figure of 23 includes this guy, who I don't think was missing on the posters. I will note here that it's very heavily implied that Doll had been eating all these worker drones, which is something only the disassembly drones have been able to do so far. The pot that Uzi finds probably proves that she was eating them. This figure of 22 does not count Doll's parents. However, as far as I can know, all of the people in the missing posters were female, so I'm only assuming the one extra one I added was male, meaning that today we're gonna have a very red pie chart. Uzi is led to where Doll's parents are, and it's revealed that her mother's name was Yeva. Eventually, Doll glitches back into the room. The effects of the bullet are reversed, and the bullet is forced back to Uzi. However, the Absolute Solver's telekinesis holds the bullet in midair, which stopped it from going to Uzi. The bullet then flies through a window. They quickly need answers, but before it's too late, Doll teleports away. Outside, a worker drone named Reed finds his glasses. In no time at all, a whole bunch of landing pods crash right next to him. A new character pops up and quickly gets a kill when they decapitate Reed with a sword. This new character's name is Tessa, and the episode ends by revealing that Jay's been completely rebuilt. Hey Jay, I have the keys for the car. You wanna go buy some dead worker drones? I'd also like to note that Knife Dance is the credit scene for this episode. Completely worth it. How many people died in this theoretical confirmation of lesbianism? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Not this again. 29 people died in the Promening, with the victims consisting of, strangely enough, 4 men and 25 women, giving us the biggest ratio of women to men on the parody. With a run time of 19 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 39.31 seconds. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to serial designation N. It was a sudden kill, and it did kind of match up with V's reasoning. Broken Pistol will be going to the 23 worker drones in Doll's living space? I don't know. But you can very obviously see why, it's just a whole bunch of bodies. And that's it. Murder Drones Episode 3 The Promening was released in February 2023 and will be followed up by Episode 4, Cabin Fever, which I'll be looking at in the next few days. But until then, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and this has been the Parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. We're now halfway through the August Murder Drone Spectacular that'll lead up to Episode 6 on August 18th. I hope I can do Cabin Fever as quickly as I did this one, because then that'll give me extra time to do Episode 5. Regardless of that, thanks for watching. Welcome to the Parody, where we tally up the victims and all our favorite media. I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and today we're looking at Episode 4 Murder Drones, Cabin Fever, released in 2023. Cabin Fever is definitely a very rare episode of Murder Drones. Worker drones are just very casually hanging out with every single disassembly drone in sight. and because of the episode's common murderer. And I don't think that's a spoiler since this episode is 4 months old and that absolute solver Uzi's in the thumbnail. This episode also keeps up the show's extreme love of horror. The episode's name is Cabin Fever, and the camp they're at this episode was founded in 3002. I don't know if it's an intentional reference to Eli Roth's 2002 film of the same name, but I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was. My reasoning is that both have the same name, they're both slashers in some sort of way, and that 3002 is exactly 1,000 years after Cabin Fever's release in 2002. But there also could be a lot more inspiration behind what I think is the obvious. But of course, I don't have time to do that in this intro. This episode, however, does decide to kill off some secondary characters. There, however, is another introduction in this episode, the concept of zombie drones. However, zombie drone discussion is for another time. And for some reason, V wants to fucking murder Uzi this episode. However, there are a lot less kills in this episode compared to some of the others. Psst, 1 in 5. Let's see how many Uzi got when she had the feverish opportunity to, and get to the kills. The episode begins by showing us 3 dead worker drones right off the bat. A bus then rolls into the camp and lets out its load of 1 teacher and many students. Looks like Brain controlled his head fire. And well, of course, there's Uzi, the person behind this entire thing in the first place. Maybe because of Khan's experience there with dead worker drones in trees. He's reminded of his incredible drizz to where Uzi's just weirded out by it. She was worried about a constant murder drone break-in, which is probably why Khan is a doorman in the first place. When asked why we're even there in the first place, the teacher just puts everything on Uzi. And it exposes that basically all of her classmates hate her. And I guess counselors here are a bunch of... You're screwed. Well, I guess that's how you establish order among them. They then propose a lot of fantastic, distracting activities to which everyone doesn't want to follow. All except Thad and Lizzie. Thad because he's cool with them, and Lizzie because...
You're way hotter than dull.
Uzi has to explain that she's basically friends to these murder drones. Well, fuck you, Uzi. We're going with the people who can murder us in a heartbeat. That almost happens with one camper until Uzi shows some signs of discomfort.
Nah, just full of love.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!
This one's a pilot.
Murder drones invented lesbianism. And however, lets Uzi do some investigating. She opens the door to a cabin featuring one of those bugs from episode 2. She looks at everything in this cabin, but nothing catches her eye as more as the calendar? I don't know if it implies that dogs have existed in this universe, but if it does, then that's awesome. Less awesome is this hand jump scare. What doesn't help is that she hears somebody screaming outside, but it's not actually what she thinks it is. Oh no, it's just them doing activities that are distracting yet fun. There's really not that much of substance in the activity parts though. However, that window is a reflection, so how about we absolutely solve that crack in the window? She's at high temperature, so she decides to try to eat the arm that she packed in with her. A brief flashback shows that she got it from Doll's House of Mysteries. Before she can eat it, V pops in saying that, hey, you're gonna be my next victim. She warns her and gives hints about it multiple times during their interaction in this scene. Even putting a scratch in, like, what is that, her eye area? V goes away so Uzi can get that scratch off of her eyes. However, she accidentally threw her backpack over that bug in what the Murder Drone subreddit calls the WhatsApp bug. Get it? Because I was like green on it? That bug leads her to a certain spot on the floor, and she opens it to find a dead worker drone. Who knows how long it's been down there? The papers she finds are a bunch of disturbing drawings and a disassembly notice. There is, however, a sharp thing in the back, and then that WhatsApp bug pops up again. It scans her entire face, so this WhatsApp bug can start, a WhatsApp chat with her? Is that why the community names it that in the first place? It tells her to call an elevator, which she doesn't know where it is, so then it tells her to place it on a proximity reader, and obviously she doesn't know where that is. But it just messes up her response, and oh god, is that Dawn in the background? We then get some super messed up archery where everything goes wrong. The worst mishap of them all is an arrow that goes through a classmate's head. However, V wants to get some more kills. Way more kills to be exact. Uzi pops up and Ed makes the unfortunate mistake to tell everyone that Uzi's nearby. Everyone is scared by it, especially this guy, who shoots an arrow at her and she stops it in mid-air. And if you thought it would go normally, well, hell no. It turns into oil in mid-air and she makes some weird bug thing out of it. Jesus Christ, that looks disgusting. V realizes what has happened to Uzi, and that causes even more stress to come out between all of them. Darren and Rebecca go up to N for comfort. Darren, you bisexual motherfucker. She even sees the dead worker drone there, and that prompts her to run away as quickly as possible. Oh, V's definitely going to kill Uzi now. In a state of absolute panic, she closes herself entirely within the cabin she found, even all the blinds. She tries eating the worker drone arm, but then the vision of a clock gets in, and she destroys all electricity in there. However, this one light over here turns red, spelling out some very bad news. Meanwhile, those over to are in a feeling if they should half-title her or not. Well, V is not afraid, N is, about her being murdered. And you know, she probably is too. N flies off and we get another one of those moments.
Hot? Not hot? You're too good for him.
Seriously, how do none of you see what's going on here? V retracts all of N's rules and says they can do whatever they want. Ah, come on, you know way too much. Oh, no way, I don't think that was about them knowing anything. It's just that they wanted to sneak out to make out. They get to the cabin and Darren can't even get it open. It only looks promising for at least half a second until a flashlight gets thrown out, showing the contents of a backpack. Darren bonks that over his head to get it working, and what they see is truly scarring. Or no, it's not what they see, it's more of what they don't see. And follows some footsteps until the target goes missing. What is this? Is this cabin for like security? And goes and skedaddles with some of the schematics over there until he finds a tape. It gives him flashbacks to someone else, an arm, in that manner from episode 2. Over at the slop house, things have gone south. Uzi is straight up eating the remains of that kid Darren. And boy, I thought some of those kills in episode 2 were too much. This is just a whole nother level. I don't think Uzi cares that much at this point. What about the bottom half of someone else? Jeez! Hey, look at this frame where Uzi's eyes are just completely missing. Over at a fire, they're being told some spooky stuff while roasting, battery marshmallows? This girl Emily is reading a Final Girl survival guide until they see the top half of Rebecca's body. They wanted to give visuals of who it was that cut her completely in half, but when she describes exactly what Uzi looks like, they still don't know. This is the last time we see her alive in the entire show, so I'm gonna count her as dead now. In a bit, a frame does confirm this. And speaking of the murderer, there she is. I find it strange how her and her absolute solver form completely changes her to look more like a disassembly drone. Regardless of what her appearance looks like, she still ends up exploding Braden's head with the absolute solver. I like the detail that his body starts burning after he dies. They decide to split up because according to the book, that's what it said, although it's revealed that the book does not exactly say that. The first one we focus on is Sam, who literally everybody thinks is high on something. Anyway, he trips and hits a tree, but then he sees something that'll scare him for life. Or at least for the last few seconds, he has alive and high. That Final Girl book is dropped onto the top of him, and he knows what's coming up next when he sees all that blood dropping on him. His death is confirmed for a scream. Lizzie looks around until she finds so-called Final Girl Emily. What's wrong with this thing on my lower what? However, it's not actually her. She's actually been killed by Uzi, which is revealed when she's brutally decapitated. Your skepticality eliminated. She's actually almost killed by her until V comes in and saves her. She's slashed by V into a right angle, and because of that, she lets Lizzie go. Because of everything that's happened to her, V calls it Uzi's sin. Side note, that's actually the name of another character we'll be getting to know a lot more next episode. Of course, Uzi doesn't know who that is, so she goes in and tries to kill V. Something is stabbed in the side of her head, which causes a rocket to go off and fling Lizzie for the second episode in a row. She tackles V down to the ground, and it looks like it's it for her. That is until N comes in and saves her. She also gets flung up into the air, lol. Also, why would he not come back? They wouldn't just split up from each other like that. And now it's time for what me and some others call therapy with N. N comes down and starts talking to Uzi, but she doesn't want him looking at her because she's gross and just eating people. She doesn't want N to leave her, and honestly, I would wish I could play the entire scene by itself, but I can't. And explains that scary stuff would have actually been scary if not for her, because she always has a way to make it fun. Eventually, they do find a way to make things silly by the end. That is before they make impact onto the ground. She apologizes to N for everything that had happened, including killing all those people. However, both Lizzie and V think this is gross. She walks away and calls V a diva, and she just smirks at her. Eventually, they leave camp and V takes the responsibility for killing everyone.
Yo, I get hungry, idiot.
No name calling, just a question.
Sunlight appears to be shining on Uzi, which appears to be hurting her, so M protects her. The episode ends with a look at that VHS tape and with a concerned expression on N's face. There's a memorial to Brayden and a special thanks to Epic Games? What? V might not be coming to Fortnite anytime soon, but I do know what is coming soon. The numbers. Let's get to those. 12 people died in cabin fever. The victims consisted of 6 men, 3 women, and 3 unknowns, giving us an even pie chart inside of an even pie chart. The symmetry is insane. This is the lowest kill count of the entire series, lower than the other thing I mentioned earlier, and the 5th occurrence of this count on the parody. With a runtime of 21 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 1.75 minutes. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to Darren because seriously, that is kinda graphic. I'll give Broken Pistol to that stoner guy Sam. He was literally killed with some screams off screen. And that's it. Murder Drones Episode 4 Cabin Fever was released in April 2023, nearly a month and a half after the Promening. Something as quick as that ensures a 2-month wait for the next episode, Home, which will be instead a 2-day wait from this one, coming on my birthday, August 17th. Would you look at that? But until then, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and it's been a parody. That outro went on for way too long, so I'm gonna make this second outro simple. Thanks for watching. Well, welcome to the parody, where we tally up the victims in our favorite media. I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and today should be my birthday, but I'm not covering anything birthday related. Instead, I'm covering Murder Drones Episode 5, Home, released in June of 2023. One thing you should notice immediately is that this episode takes place mostly in the same manner that we saw at the beginning of Episode 2. And since that was before they all found lives in murder, this means that this episode is basically an origin story. However, the episode doesn't actually take place in Elliott Manor. Instead, it's Uzi taking N back to Elliott Manor in some sort of virtual reality thing, just so he can gain his memories from there back. And really, it should be the most complicated episode to follow. Really, it might actually be one of the simplest, just because it tells us the entire backstory. Sure, I may have to explain a few extra things, but it doesn't really matter. And plus, I can lengthen this episode anyway by telling you some behind the scenes in animation. I can do all of this due to an 8-minute behind the scenes video for this episode by lead animator Kevin Temmer. That's awesome considering that he animated on Blue Sky's 3 last movies. The fact that he did references for some of the shots for the animators to animate makes some of these shots way funnier than they need to be. You just remember that they reference these off of a guy. I can also properly explain more about the zombie drones this time. And what should be the obvious if you watch other kill counters, the sheer amount of kills that could be in this episode. Counting just the beginning of this is going to be a nightmare since there is not a finite count of worker drones that could be there. But also, this makes up for it. If there's a whole lot of bodies, could this potentially get a new kill count champion? Or will it just be the champion for murder drones? Let's find out and get to the kills. The episode begins with the Glitch Productions intro finishing on the CRT TV. There is a tape playing on that TV, however. It's about the zombie drones. So basically what leads up to being a zombie drone is that a drone isn't properly disposed of when they get disassembled. They can reboot normally, like JV and N, or not so normally to cause some dangerous mutation. Them being marked for disassembly can be shown through a yellow armband. And in some cases, they can even become disassembly drones. 0.7% of these rebootings can be extremely dangerous and may be able to lead to the death or injury of a human. 29% are terminal lockouts and 70.3% just carry no change. Whatever portion of the tape we see ends in oh my god! Dude, I don't want to count all of these drones, man. It's gonna be way too hard for me to get an accurate number. We even dive in, so there's infinite possibilities of what number of drones could be down here. And especially in this long shot. You know what, I'll just let one of you disassembly drones near me kill me. Just do it now. And if I want to get a number as close to accurate as possible, I guess I'll have to go through and count all of these. But fucking count them I did, and I counted a grand total of 220 total worker drones inside of this pile. That is definitely not the amount of worker drones that are in there, but that's the closest number I can muster up. And I may have double counted a lot of these, but there's definitely way more bodies in the landfill, so what you see is what you're gonna get. The number 220 doesn't include this drone who reboots. Also, I'm done counting bodies for this entire episode, so I might need to break into someone's counting supply. Well, don't mind if I do. We then get transported to Elliott Manor, where basically the entire episode kinda takes place. Some drones have been paused, but not N, who's reading a book. It's about 101 dog breeds, and he finds a paper from Jay, which... Dude, that's gold. He throws it in a stack of paper and continues reading to a paused V. He stops reading when things go wrong and some books fall down to tell him a message. More come down which tell him to enter a spooky basement. N, however, decides not to and pieces out. Some bugs defend their drink territory before one of them is killed. Oh, but N's walking out of that room with that character that was mentioned last episode.
Sin.
Yep, that's her right there. In actuality, N doesn't realize the facade that Sin is hiding under. We can actually see the actual bit of her when N walks in. Speaking that true form, it looks a lot like the Eldritch J we saw in episode 2. Initially, N declines Sin's gala activities, but some blood on that pan and Sin's doggy eyes or something convince them that it's worth it. They walk in to see some worker drones and some silhouette guys. And it appears the silhouette guys are also capable of killing worker drones when one gets a fork in the face. At another table, Tessa is explaining her concerns to Jay. But however, that does get stopped very quickly. With the characters are only black silhouettes, they're limited to only eyes in the black shape they had. That means that they had to make the character expressions by using just their eyes and the body. When N comes in, Tessa starts swinging around in some sort of excitement. For this part, Kevin tried making him feel like a ragdoll, which can very obviously be seen in the final product. And sees more basement warnings from someone named DarkXWolf17. There are immediate signs of disappointment, however, when Tessa finds Sin, who's apparently been locked in the basement on several occasions. It gets even worse when Tessa's mom, Louisa, comes in. For this scene, there had to be a contrast between Louisa and Tessa's body language. It gets even worse when Louisa sees Sin in the premises. They're barred from putting any more drones in that library, and she walks off without any objection wanted.
They are not broken.
Ah, Sin, you made it worse. N stands up for her, claiming that he told her to say that. I don't know what good that could have caused, considering that you're now condemned to eternal pecking by crows. Beside him there is a long-dead worker drone. Well, there he does some stuff with sticks and it accidentally gets thrown up in the air to another crow. Oh, but the crows lost their sticks, so now they're going to eternally peck N to death. The pecking goes on for a while until one magical crow appears. Oh, and it shows an absolute sulfur symbol. That's because this crow has been taken over with purple eyes. That's actually because Uzi took over this one. Back at the manor, Tessa, Jade, and Sin have been locked in a room. Throwing some of these toys reveals a bug, which Sin destroys with the absolute solver. Note, Sin is actually the very first drone confirmed to have the absolute solver. Speaking of Sin, here she is now, in a creepy Eldritch sort of form, like Jay in episode 2. I guess the Eldritch form just runs into everyone who's lived in the manor, because I don't think this might ever happen to Uzi or Doll. She exposes her creepy camera form and gets out of there. For this scene, Kevin wanted to push her creepy puppet-like nature. Well, shit. Outside, Ed and Bird Uzi are having a chat. Uzi explains to past N that they're going to regain back his memories because in the future, he's passed out at Uzi's house and is going to have all of his memories removed. So y'all better get to that spooky basement in Elliott Manor. Birdsea, as named by the animators, had a mix of bird-like behavior and Uzi behavior, which comes out more when she talks. Since she was designed to be realistic, it was difficult to get facial expressions, so they relied on her body language. Kevin also animated a whole bunch of bird cycles so that other animators could use those in their shots. They wanted the cycles to be as good as possible because they wanted it to look good from multiple angles. He found reference from animations and online videos, but he also got blessed with some real-life references. On their way there, she magically shuts down. Khan comes in and interrupts, strangely enough, in the only episode where he doesn't talk about doors so far, to comment that Uzi doesn't regularly have friends over. A bit later, Uzi and N are in the manor and greeted with a sight. In one of the best shots of the entire series so far, a worker drone is revealed as dead and being put up as some sort of mantle or something. V is over the basement entrance, so they quickly devise a plan just to scoot her over a bit. It works entirely in their favor, but then they realize that Jay has the keys. And that's when V has another transformation. She's now some sort of eldritch thing? For this shot, he had to hold back on making the character do something entertaining. There was also the challenge of figuring out how to make Birdsey move on N's head. And for the transformation, it was covered with a lightning strike. The only things that are really different are slight hair, slight clothes, and her hand. Birdsey also lays an egg in this scene. They only needed to animate reactions for the egg flying out since that was already animated in layout. There were also ways Bidsey could react to N's movement. In their room, Tessa and Jay are still locked up. But eventually, Jay manages to bite off the chain with her teeth. Holy shit. And it appears they started at the right time because the gala has begun. They sneak over and accidentally almost knock down a thumbnail shot. Jay takes a Kevin Tever revolver and Tessa takes a sword, which she used in episode 3. Ah, come on, why'd you swap that? And warns them to get down, idiot! Those are actually V's glasses, as is revealed in this shot, and it's also revealed that she's been lurking on the ceiling. Alright, so these are your friends, and hey, Birdsey, why not go snatch that key from Jay? Then starts the fight scene with V, Jay, Tessa, and like everyone. V makes herself a jump scare and gets the key out of Birdsey's mouth, and then almost gets it before a sword goes into her hand and some other stuff is thrown. V throws a sword at N, but Jay comes in and saves him and goes after V with the sword, causing a fight which James might be a bit mad about. It was a bit tricky animating this shot for Kevin, but he had to do some camera cheating. To get the up-close running shot, he had to stretch out Jay, making her a lot longer than she actually is. It turns out they got out just fine. What are not fine are 5 worker drones that can be seen dead as N and Uzi walk down the hallways. And 3 of those are babies? At least they can unlock the basement where, surprise, Eldritch Sin is waiting for you. She also killed Birdsey, which I'm not going to count because it's a bird and Uzi is technically still alive. Before N can be added to the total kill count for the series a third time, Uzi hacks Eldritch Sin's thing and just, she turns into the camera shit, lol. N is still dragged down into the basement instead, where we can see, oh, come on. I'm gonna steal from another Dead Meat fan to get my total, and there's about 39 bodies down here in total. I mean, there could be some double-counted corpses, but I eliminated the possibility of there being any consistent rules here ages ago, when we saw that landfill, so, just let me have this one, okay? They uncover this sweet origin story before Uzi gets kicked off of her thing yet again. That's because Daw has come back and is now invading Uzi's home. And yes, back in episode 3 when I counted her, I knew that she was gonna come back to life. Gotta count some shit for fun, Although pause, that body stuck on that glass, I'll count that since I don't think it's among the 39. Eventually, Sin comes back to that camera because Uzi had to get off it because of Doll's invasion. Now they're getting ready for a memory wipe. Over somewhere else in the manor, the gala has begun. Although the gala is cut short by Sin teleporting in there to show everyone what she actually really looks like. Before anyone can react, Tessa and Jay break in to announce that they're gonna kill everyone. Well, not exactly everyone, but Everyone literally gets thrown out of the way so Sin can have her ultimate moment. That causes Sin to get a bullet shot at her. With James and Louisa, he really wanted to play up the acting with them. He also used the motion pad for that flying bullet. Wow, piece of shit, you really thought the bullet would do anything? And wow, you're throwing cups at me now? What a piece of shit. Instead, Sin turns off the lights for the entire gala and turns it into a shady yellow. Jay stands creepily still and closes the door so we can see the full, real extent of what Eldritch Sin looks like. She crushes a globe and we hear some screaming off screen. Now I have a couple of things to talk about this scene, but first off, the animation work from Kevin Temer. If you're tired of seeing his work all over this episode, I'm not sorry for that. I just think it's really cool to see how all of this is animated. Finding out what tactics they use to get some of these shots possible is just so cool. Anyways, back to this scene, he originally had Jay moving more, but Liam Vickers' fight would be creepier if she was just standing still. And for the crushed globe, he used blend shape and scaling. And next up, how many people died at the gala? We did see many people there, and we also heard some screaming, signifying that they likely died. And if James and Louisa survive, there's always at least 2 more people there that we can keep track of. Using the entire gala party, including James and Louisa, there's 38 people, and if they didn't die, well, that's still 38 people, since there's 2 more people I probably didn't document. So for Sin's Gala Massacre, I'm adding 38 more victims to the count, even though it's unlikely that 2 of them died, and if those 2 didn't die, well, there's always 2 more. In Sin's Basement of Mystery, she's having trouble deciding what weapon to use in N's memory wipe.
Bam, you suck.
Fuck you, Ann. Meanwhile, in Uzi's room, Doll and Uzi are fighting over the bug. And if some of these shots look realistic, well, as the lead animator, he would sometimes reference himself in some of these shots. He didn't animate these scenes, though. Instead, he filmed reference himself to help other animators out. I love this one. When Aang gets some absolute silver flashes in his eyes, Uzi decides to lose the battle for the bug. There is, however, a short conversation between her and Khan before she teleports away. Back in the manor, Sin has recruited V to help her with it. Sin continues going off about minor racial stuff. However, N has one more trick up his sleeve. V's glasses. Stop proving his fucking point already. She grabs a scalpel, or what appears to be one, from the short supply of weapons at her disposal. After getting a positive message from N, she starts getting emotions and lists a dog fact. Sin isn't having any of this shit, so she puts V on the roof in a chokehold and starts trying to erase N's mind. Literally before she does it, though, she starts going on a huge monologue about it before she stops. And by who, you may ask? Well, of course, it was Uzi. For Sin's camera version, Faye drew a lot of inspiration from the Portal character GLaDOS. It's either that or GLaDOS, I don't know how to pronounce shit. Rigging gave him a lot of very versatile tentacle rigs, so they could create a pose and then have the tentacle slide into said pose, which would allow for smooth, creepy movement. Uzi reverses a lot of Sin stuff and lets go of V. It's only now that N recognizes Uzi.
Don't freaking dox me.
Well, N is positive, V is negative. But hey, at least now they're at their memory regain facility. Uzi turns around, acting like a villain, so V returns the death threat to her. Outside, Doll teleports to a frozen lake. This final scene is on the same frozen lake from Cabin Fever, which means that this is directly outside of Camp 98.7. Doll meets up with Jay and Tessa and gives them her key. Doll wants to go with Jay and Tessa, but they have to do a flying bullet test. They continue journeying through Copper 9, but behind them they see some familiar people. Alright, so now we're done with the entire series now. Well, up until tomorrow, so let's just get to the numbers as quickly as possible. I'm all out of sanity. By my count, there were 306 kills or bodies in Home. The victims included 20 men, 8 women, and 278 unknowns from what I could decipher, giving us a pie chart that looks a lot like episode 1's, except it's more gray. Speaking of which, this is by far the deadliest episode of the entire series and is now in the top 10 of the parody. With a runtime of only 20 minutes though, that left us with a kill on average every 3.92 seconds, the third fastest on the parody. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to that guy on the mantle. That was some epic shit. As for Broken Pistol, it's gonna go to the hardest thing I've ever had to count on the parody so far. You know, the entire landfill. What were they thinking about that? I mean, it's cool imagery, but jeez, that's just a lot. And that's it. Murder Drones Episode 5 Home was released in June of 2022, and as of today, August 17th, is the most recent episode. Tomorrow, Episode 6 comes out, and I'll be covering that next Friday, after I cover pregame on Sunday. But until then, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and this has been a parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. I was not expecting for this to become the longest Murder Drones kill count, but what else are you supposed to do with this? There's a bunch of behind the scenes info and a bunch of kills. And speaking of production info, I've been recording the majority of this in a car for at least the past few hours, and by the end of it, like right now, I am sweating my ass off and I need to clean myself. This was another kind of recording misery I don't ever want to do again. Yeah. So, as you all know, pregame, Sunday, episode 6 of Murder Drones, this show, Friday. You got that? Thanks for watching. Welcome to the parody, where we tally up the victims in our favorite media. I'm Tesla/Chelsea Rose, and today I'm actually dropping all the stuff I did for the first 5 episodes. That's right, you're not getting whatever fucking shy decided to pull off back then. But that's not important. Today we're looking at Murder Drones Episode 6 Dead End, which was aired in August of 2023. The episode continues directly off the last seconds of episode 5, showing what happened immediately after. What it did was basically send them underground. It also exposes that some of the drones themselves really just fall under friendly fire at points. It also implies that Uzi's condition is getting way worse. It also introduces these new dinosaur-looking bots called Sentinels. Through their camera flashes, they can just incapacitate just about everything. Will said method of downing bring us more kills? Let's find out and get to them. The episode begins at a place of paradise, even though that's just a red herring. What we're more worried about is a worker drone who's trying to hide from something. It appears that whatever is out there caused her friend to start buffering in the eyes. The things grab up her friend and have a nice feast of them off screen. Hey, stop making noises, you're gonna make them catch you. Too late, looks like the blue lights eventually got her. They paralyze her like the other person just so they can eat her up off screen. Thanks, security camera. And hey, other characters. Well, this is the first time they've seen Tessa in quite a while. However, this is the first time Uzi's seen her, and she's not so thrilled with seeing Jay back. Seems like they're on a quest to figure out more about the lore of the show we're currently stuck in right now. Doll's just gonna have to commit some bug thievery and lead her to the way. The way leads Jay and Tessa to try to commit some doll slaughter. Doll, hope you have someone to catch you! Or maybe she could just catch herself on the way down, who knows. The others determine it's safe, and Tessa decides to drop a reference to episode 4. Well, if I also want to find Doll and potentially a way to find more of this, they're gonna have to go underground into that hole. And also leave Jay on the back burner for the rest of the episode. Hope Jay doesn't learn about that divorce that's gonna happen later this episode. Uzi's pissed that Doll's been involved in this, but her and Doll may as well just have a connection, the absolute solver. It's suggested that Doll thinks it's something the humans inherited her, and you know what? It could also be right. Now, if only those damn film viewers focus on that instead of the possible World War II relations. All of them make their way down into the hole Doll went into and start making a search. There's gotta be an elevator down here, right? Tessa says no, and we get a full-on disassembly Gororama. Jesus fucking Christ. Should I even attempt to start counting all of these people with all the disattached limbs? In the end, I decided to count 23 disassembly drones down here, even though that is definitely not the intended count. There are headbands, batteries, wings, limbs, and bodies all over the place, but in the end, this is a number I'll fairly be certain in. They'll make their way past that, and hey look, secret elevator right there. I guess it's really not so secret after all. Well guys, you know what they say, if it looks too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. Hey look, just random child drone. And randomly starts trying to shoot the fucking child, so it just spider crawls all over the place. They meet their maker when another drone pops up alongside the spider infant. All three of them get flashbanged and wake up inside some room. By the looks of it, it seems to be a security room with some medical decorations. Meanwhile, new character Alice is going to town decapitating worker drone 29. Your wearing will make a fine little collection to my surgical whatevers. Anyways, behind this curtain I have, oh fuck, V. Also, is it just me, or do the magnets just make no sense in the context of this? Is it supposed to, like, what, disassociate them with what's going on? I don't get it. This Alice character has a knife tail and an oven full of some weird stuff. Uzi tries using the absolute solver to stop all this, but it seems like that magnet could be ruining it. Don't she dare use her, or else Alice is gonna cut off that necklace. Meanwhile, Tessa and Ann are in another room. And I don't think this is a situation to have fun in.
Doing great, dude.
Well, fuck me, I guess. Looks like he's having a great time. So was a circular saw gonna ruin any of that for you, dude? Or what, those magnets too? Yeah, sure thing, buddy. With Spider and Finn Mo getting out of the room, looks like Tessa's got an escape plan. Bo just went in the other room to put more magnets on Uzi's head. Was that supposed to be a cover for what Alice is about to do next? As in and Tessa make a not-so-secret escape, Alice starts the torture process. Wow, a From Dusk Till Dawn special and then a Hostile Hand edition? How is this happening? Now, since it is eventually stopped, I'm just wondering what would happen if she had gone all the way and removed the finger. And then Tessa had successfully escaped the hostiles, and Tessa has typed some stuff up on the computer. And is concerned about Uzi, but Tessa shows him something even more concerning. Meanwhile, Alice, feeling devious as ever, closes a few of the doors and opens up the one with the sentinels. That means while Uzi watches, N is in danger. To try to stop it, she starts using the absolute solver. We cut back to N looking at a destroyed Earth. But Tessa's explanation suggests that the absolute solver had possessed Sin first, and that's what caused the Earth to be destroyed. Meanwhile, if the absolute solver had made it to other places, humans were sent to try to eliminate it. It also gives us this brief glimpse of Nori Dorman and Yeva in the exact same place. We also get a short clip of Nori in some sort of absolute solver state or something. And immediately starts talking Uzi and is all like, "We can fix her!" But also at the same time, the Absolute Solver could destroy an entire universe, so it's only her or the entire universe at stake. Before we can go hatch another plan, boom, there's a Sentinel. And by the looks of it, it looks like it's about to add end to the parody again. Don't mess with my cannon! Bo quickly realizes that she's using the Absolute Solver on doors. Before the Sentinel can kill, and Tessa interrupts. As she's a human, she can't exactly be paralyzed by these Sentinels. Her best bet is to tame them like one of those Australian— Oh shit! Was that the bite of 72? Wow, that bite got blood on the camera and everything. As Tessa isn't an AI target, it doesn't know what to do. In its state of a frenzy, it kills itself against the wall. The Sentinels almost close in on Tessa, but Alice's batteries start floating. And her bow too. Uzi, for a second here, has been fully possessed by the Absolute Solver. The powers cause all the door buttons to be just sucked into some black hole. And with that, it causes all the doors to open. Alice tries to close off the room she's currently in, but she gets boot-locked by a Sentinel. Instead of having a feast on this body, it just smashes her head in with its foot. A Sentinel gets scarily close to Uzi's face, but in comes some energy from Bo. He decides to use the energy to save V from her restraints. Out of nowhere, he gets crushed by a Sentinel head against the oven. Now that's what I call an oily face. V tries to free Uzi, but almost gets boot-locked by a Sentinel. It almost seems like a desperate situation, but out of nowhere, that black coal becomes more powerful. It basically devours both the Sentinels and creates some sort of goopy field of energy. Hey, at least Denna's okay. At least he gets to meet his friends again, which unlike someone else with a very familiar name, he can actually have. V and Uzi burst into the room they're in. And boy, things are getting pretty tense between all three of them. Uzi eventually wakes up from the Absolute Solver-induced nap. She goes over to hug in, and hopefully a platonic sense. All this brings a new spark of light over the Cabin Fever labs, and in the process, some Sentinels get revived. Man, I love these shots of the empty labs, selling on the isolation of the place. Well, you know, aside from all the dead drones and these alive ones. While V tries to shoot this Sentinel with her, they and Uzi have a little conversation through their visors? It seems like for now, they still got it. However, due to something, they lose the Sentinel. It leads them to a potentially comatose doll.
That's convenient. It's a trap.
Uzi almost uses the Absolute Solver on it, but N and V both veto it. Tessa decides that it's an easy option just to go grab the bug. So who knows, maybe we're just envious of this. While walking down the hallway, I guess I should have said they were envious of that. I don't really like this ship all that much. Just saying. Sorry to disappoint.
Ew.
Don't date my robot, please.
Yeah, V, I'm with you on this one. Werewolves for life, baby! The bug quickly gets snatched out of Tessa's hand and into Doll's because this whole time it actually was a trap. Nice deduction there, V. She puts a bug or whatever onto this thing, causing the elevator to start going down. She also uses a sonic adventure to open up all the doors. Fuck you, everybody, good night! Hey, not existing, you're on the wrong floor. With the elevator actually blocking the path, it seems that they're hopeless. Almost getting boot-looped by the Sentinels. Tessa uses her bloody hand power to try to intimidate the Sentinels. They flash her as a target and start closing in more and more. While Tessa and V start going on the offense, Uzi decides to open up the door with the Absolute Solver. This Sentinel has a trick up its sleeve, a literal handgun. However, V saves her at the last second by catching the bullet mid-air. Gotta love this woman. Because Uzi's hand is getting worsened by the Absolute Solver, N decides to cut it right off. Tessa and Uzi decide to get in the elevator while V stays behind to fight off the Sentinels. This is amazing choreography all around, and she manages to defeat the Sentinel. However, with the defeat, she's... Oh, I thought she was gonna join them in the elevator. What the fuck is happening here? Oh, fucking Jesus, that's another Sentinel. And more. Oh, Jesus Christ. What are y'all doing? And what's she doing telling Uzi she trusts her? And why are you cutting off the support to the elevator? And closing your eyes and... Oh, fuck, no. This better not be happening. This better not be happening. Literal fucking hell, we can't have anything good in here. V salutes herself and basically sacrifices herself off screen. The sad fucking song playing over the credits doesn't help. What is going on? Are they trying to say V's gonna die? I don't know. She's dead this episode or not. So I'm just gonna play it safe and not add her to the count this episode. If it's confirmed next episode that she's dead, I'll add her then. Anyways, with the original song Eternal Dream playing over the credits and all of that, this is I don't fucking know how to feel about this scene. I just hope she's still alive next episode, because if not, that's gonna be the biggest fucking downer for me of the entire series. But all that speculation is for next episode. We need to talk about the numbers for this episode, so let's get to them. 27 people died in Murder Drones episode 6, which is a number we've seen one time before on the parody with the original 2020 kill count of hostage. The victims consisted of 1 man, 2 women, and 24 infant drones, or just drones of indeterminate gender, giving us a mostly gray pie chart, which actually matches up with technology in some sort of way. Even though this is a quasi-high kill count, this is in the lower half of the series when it comes to kills. With a running time of 21 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 46.67 seconds. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower the bow, since it feels the most brutal to me, since it's both an infant drone and the fact that he just gets crushed and eaten. Broken Pistol will go to the 23 disassembly drones, cause no joke, I can't get a fucking accurate count of that. And that's it. Murder Drones episode 6 was released in August of 2023. It's been 7 months since then, and we're only getting the 7th episode now, the day I'm uploading this parody. Go watch that when you can when it comes out later today, but until then, I'm Chelsea Rose, and this has been the parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. You know, if they ever do a season 2 of this, I really just want to see more of like the actual Outpost a bit more, since we haven't seen that since episode 3. And also, I'd like V to be alive, but that's besides the point. What I'm really more excited about during the last 2 episodes of this season is just learning a lot more about the universe the show takes place in. Like, just way better execution than like a lot of people have been saying these first 6 episodes have been giving is all I'm saying. And also for my sake, just like don't overload them with bodies, please! Anyways, thanks for watching. Well, welcome to the parody, I guess. The episode begins on Earth outside what looks like Hotel Transylvania. Ignore the sentinels outside, seems as if this is the actual Cabin Fever Labs itself. There's a lot of humans in this place, including this guy that looks like Baptist. They even have their drone test subject, Nori Dorman. However, their testing goes sideways when a bunch of claw-looking tentacle things come out of her. After a failed harpoon murder, they try getting her into satanic rituals. Satan probably wouldn't allow this. If this is what being up there causes, I don't know what else can happen. Dr. Chambers is sent outside the church building to search for Yeva, Doll's mother. Meanwhile, they're about to treat this drone like a vampire. So I guess in some ways, this is like Hotel Transylvania after all. After a Nori and Sentinel jump scare, he goes into some cave systems. Yo, I need you for something, some super serious shit, man. When they get back, it seems like that cross went into Nori's face. However, shit goes completely sideways when there's some blood and the cross on the ground. What's with your hand, man? More like what's with your feet, dude! Bro gets sucked into the first black hole, which will add him to the count. I won't count someone else later, even though they get sucked into a similar black hole, but look, there's blood gushing from his arm. How should I not count that? Everyone else in there disappears except for Dr. Chambers. With the place crumbling all around them, the only thing he has is the cross offensive. Well, it looks like it's too late for you, since Nori's coming up on some sort of eldritch thing. She uses the Absolute Silver to steal the cross from him and then just throw it back into his face. Oh shit. Turns out someone still has that exact same cross. It's this creature right here listening to Nightcore with that iPod. She gets all out of her mind and gets ready for a mining adventure in the caves. Yo, wait, she gonna find some diamonds? Meanwhile, on a CRT, we see an elevator going down, cutting us into the main storyline. With the void back up closed, they have seemingly nothing left. For a solution, he starts blasting right through the rocks and clawing at them. He tells Uzi to start using the absolute solver, but don't you remember last time when she started trying to use it? Could have gone without the human-ass blood. He starts profusely apologizing and trying to comfort her, but Tessa won't allow it. Since this is gonna be an intense adventure, she decides to let Uzi sit this one out. And backs her up, since he knows exactly where we're going, and there's probably some stuff that she won't like down there.
Oh, what the hell is going on?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's for sure nothing, since we're going back to more of like what we had in the earlier episodes with these two. Like for real, what was Liam Vickers trying to do with these two in episode 6? He says they're not going to hurt her, but she takes that the wrong way. She uses the absolute solver and causes a natural divide between them. We cut back to the drone spiral where we meet Lizzie and Thad again. Maybe would have liked this more if Thad's voice actor wasn't still Sean Chiplock. However, something in the area makes them start floating all up in the air, and then they fall down. That was actually the landing pod, showing us an even clearer look at the corpse spiral. Well, since I'm back to the corpse spiral for counting bodies again, I managed to count 119 possibly brand new bodies. Hey, hold on, wait a minute, who's Lizzie texting?
Does your secret friend want to know about football, or?
So, like, should we tell Thad, about the events of episode 6, or? Hey, wait, dude, you're at the prom raising up boys and girls. Lizzie has shown off V to you! What are you doing? Not to mention that Lizzie's probably in love with V or something, but, like, you should know that V exists, dude. It seems as if the cave-in has knocked N out. Looks like the situation he's in is gonna take 127 hours to get out of. Oh, and he's going in for the full treatment. Holy shit! And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna take all the crumbs I can get at this point. Right by the meme emoji papers, she sees some stuff about Nori in the church. Oh, and the possible remains of human society, but whatever. All she really needs from this is a lantern. And is sawing away at his arm, trying to ignore the monster. This portion of what I think might be the absolute solver takes away N. In the process, it gives some flashbacks to what they used to do. I'm not gonna count the guy in the top hat since I think that's just a person from Elliott Manor. However, aside from that, I will be counting the 7 other people I can track getting murdered. We even got guys in copters getting incinerated and the such. Oh, and the usual cut in half buffet. And it was, holy shit, that's V, great to see you again. This scene also suggests that there's even more disassembly drones than we initially thought. If you can recall last episode, there are a lot of disassembly drone bodies there, and I think some of these people might be among them. He's forced out of the flashback and back into reality. Well, gotta go off somewhere, bye! We come back to the cathedral, which is now underground. She flies in to investigate and sees the black hole and this light coming from a source. It's coming from where we saw that one person earlier, and of course, Uzi has to investigate it. From what we saw at the beginning of the episode was paused, so she has to go rewind it to get the full story. What she sees shocks her. Back in the cave systems, N is getting repeatedly dragged by this V Eldritch thing.
Yeah, I guess it should mention that this is a Sin and not actually V, because, you know, V's episode 6 sacrifice.
Yeah, this is Sin. He's now in the pit of gore with bastards along the walls. However, he gets saved by an absolute solver pickaxe from that character we met at the beginning. She and him get away from the monster, and she says he looks a bit familiar. She wants him to do some cross-pedaling because of a guy.
Looking for a hunk named Khan.
Uzi's dad?
We are so back! After the monster passes them, she only has one question.
How do you know my daughter?
Hey, hold on a second, aren't you supposed to be dead? I had you in my episode 2 parody and everything. It's also here that we finally see Nora Dorman, Uzi's mother, so I'll add her to the count. Well, you see, it's simple. This thing right here is actually also Nori Dorman. Even though the disassembly drones may have killed her actual live drone body, this is still enough of a confirmation of survival for me. Therefore, I will be depleting her kill off of episode 2's count. Also, this drone right here, not Sarah. We cut back to Lizzie and Thad, where they're waiting for Jay to get out of the corpse spiral. She actually does, and it blows them back a bit. Jay then decides to go, I don't know, shopping? Also, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other dead drones I probably haven't counted yet. There's no definitive answer to how many bodies are in the corpse spiral, so, here's 116 more bodies. Left inside is a fiery ember of what used to be the old landing pod. And oh yeah, before they almost enter and got blown away, I could count 81 brand new bodies for me to add to the count. Probably not a correct number by any means, but hey. So anyways, they enter the spiral and holy shit! It's Condorman! The code is back, baby! In general, this is the first time we see him outside the actual bunker he lives in. After finding the core for the railgun, they all start floating again. Well, if I stop selling doors, this might be the best way I could go to stop those murder drones. We go down to the cave systems for a scene focusing on Tessa. She gets to know about all the people who are still in, status. As it's shown that Nori is still in progress, that means I can completely remove her off the episode 2 count. Yeva just has a patch, but I don't know if that should really count, so I'm not going to play her kill from episode 2. Well, with all that taken care of, why not just blow that shit up? Very quickly, Doll pops up to ask her what the patch is. However, I don't think Tessa wants to talk USB. I think she wants to talk sour. Tessa uses her sword to cut off the button covering Doll's other eye, revealing that she also has blood underneath that too. Tessa's thinking devious, so she throws that cleaver she has to get the knife out of Doll's hand, and then just completely snuffs out the flames. Doll lights up her way forwards, only to get greeted with a Five Nights at Freddy-ass jump scare. We cut back to what we saw at the beginning of the episode, maybe to finally resolve it. However, we still have continuations of what happened there, as Yeva frees the Dr. Chambers from dying. Oh, that one USB crucifix? Yeah, it gets thrown down the black hole. Even though Yeva feels sympathetic for the down Nori, it still feels as if the Absolute Solver has more stuff to do. By sending that no hand down that black hole, they just made a mistake. A mistake so big, it caused the entire series to begin. Yeah, that's right, after this we cut back to Earth and BOOM! Although there's still a lot of elements of truth in the pilot's explanation of how things began, this serves as the direct explanation for what's happened. There was more so explained as just a silly little accident. Said silly little accident led them to flee to another planet and start building anew. However, along the way, the disassembly drones appeared and gave an end to their silly little lives. Just silly little fun, right? So basically, every single worker drone would have been normal if it wasn't for that monumental mess up. The exposition does take place basically right as this happened, you know? However, it wasn't actually just human incompetence, it was actually a black hole hand getting sent into the core of the Earth. Alright, so that seemed to have killed all the humans that were in the lab, right? Well, yes. Aside from the drone Baptist who we saw die in the beginning, we saw 16 more humans in there, including Dr. Chambers. That means 16 kills can be added due to Nori's explanation of all the events. She then goes on to recap the rest of her life, including the child she had with Kanu, who ended up being Uzi, and the murder drones. Even though the solver could have been ended just like that, it came back to finish its job here on Copper 9. That means the host is somewhere here, and it might be in his best friend. Said best friend has been pretty messed up by all she saw in there. However, that's really not all that's messed up about this in the slightest. Someone makes her way into the cathedral and slips around, and we see a body. It ends up being Doll, ribs completely exposed, with her final word telling Uzi to fight back against the Absolute Solver. Oh hey look, it's Tessa. You have anything to do with this? Well, actually, I don't really know yet. We have to make sure En doesn't tell Uzi anything about what's going on here. He eventually ends up with a promise with her, with one condition.
To wait until you're ready to tell her yourself?
Let's get this shit rolling! Uncharacteristically, with what we've known for her characters so far, Tessa is acting much more evil than usual. Like, dude, she's about to kill Uzi. She almost does so until En holds her at, blade point. He wants to know if she has anything to do with the missing source, and he just brushes him away. En lands on a swipe, appearing to brush something off for himself, and it ends up being Tessa's decapitated head. Since this is the last formed character as we've come to know her, I'll add her to the list. Knowing that the jig is about to be up, he gives Uzi the crucifix in order to help her feel better from her Absolute Solver problems. However, as it turns out, she's probably not who she used to be. Oh yeah, definitely not with destroying the crucifix. Turns out she's damn near fully possessed by sin. However, before she can get the final kill in on En, her mother comes in.
Nori, you're dead.
You're frickin' grounded.
Angry.
Fuck yeah, let's get into another fight scene! This time, though, it's a really personal fight scene as N has to go up against Uzi. Or at least this form of Uzi that just whips him around all over the place. He tries getting her to stop by holding the blade up to her neck, but she only tries to push it in further. The only thing that stops her is by cutting her hand off and slapping her a whole lot. It seems as if they almost got it in the bag, but nope, Uzi's regenerated her hand. She starts her null commands, which sends out a whole lot of other things that shoot all over the place. They fly past all these black holes, even slicing out one before an end gets to Uzi and Nori cuts off her hand. She tries stopping her other hand from getting cut off, but Nori distracts her with a face whip, and they all start shooting at each other with more black holes until her hand gets off again. Uzi saves herself from falling down that black hole until she gets an iron pickaxe. She welcomes Pickaxe not because there's diamonds on there, but because Sin just wants his body to be dead. And pushes Uzi out of the way of the pickaxe, saving her life once and for all. Afterwards, he hits hard. However, unluckily for Nori, Uzi has another pickaxe. 4! She gets back the pickaxe and throws it down at N, probably wanting to kill him too. She almost makes DeviantArt canon in this universe before N writes a message.
I should mention Uzi and I...
What?
Oh, Liam Vickers. I see what you're trying to do here. Also, Sin, even if you're in Uzi's body, that was a nice reaction. Even the characters in the show don't want Uzi to be canon, and that's pretty hilarious. That includes one final blow from Nori, who reminds Uzi of who killed her mother. Uzi tries putting her own senses into Nori, reverting her back to her old self. She also uses the opportunity to dropkick her into the hole. Well, Nori is pretty screwed here, so I'll add her to the count, like, for real this time. They have a short shouted confrontation where it's revealed to Uzi herself that was actually her mother and all that other stuff, but it just ends up in them hugging. Guys, I just think they're glad to see them in their normal states again. Tessa's helmet almost rolls back into that black hole before something stops it. While Uzi may be in her normal state, that's far from the case with Tessa. An unzipping sound plays, giving us this massive amount of gore coming out of it. The abomination coming out of that also drags away Doll's body. That's something both N and Uzi realize, and they look around only to find this. Much to their disbelief, this is actually who's been hanging around the entire time. This is actually Sin, who's wearing a skin body out of Tessa. This right here may as well be one of the more complicated parts of the episode, so I'll just try to explain it the best I can with what I have. So as seen in the ending of episode 3, we're introduced to the character of Tessa Elliott. As occasionally built up in episodes 5 and 6, it may have seemed that she was here to find the root cause of the absolute solver. Finding the root cause may have also helped her stop it. After all, this is information Tessa provided us with in episode 6.
We know it mutates in damaged AI. It took Sin as a host, then it took everything. I'm here to find which drones were infected. When we get to the labs and find that list, I'll need you to choose the universe over one little drone, and...
However, now it seems as if this wasn't actually the case. Circling back to episode 5, it showed us what it was like at Elliott Manor before the show began. If you recall, that was the first chronological appearance of Sin in the show. She's been omnipresent ever since before there were actually disassembly drones. How this would relate to episode 5 is the fact that Tessa was one of the main characters of the episode. It was shown there that she was friendly to the drone servants, something which her parents didn't like. One of those servants protecting her was Sin. After that, Sin and Tessa may have built up a friendship within the manor. However, Tessa saw that Sin wasn't really what she seemed to be. Tessa even saw her camera form. It seemed that the eldritch form of Sin had built up many bodies within the basement of the manor after all. After that, Sin eventually appeared in the gala. And if you recall, there was a gala massacre that killed every single human in there. The reason the massacre was off-screen was because maybe they didn't want to reveal that Tessa had actually died there. Even then, outside of that, she was shown in glitchy form in episode 2. They probably set it up this way just so the viewers couldn't guess right off the bat that Tessa was actually dead. However, throughout episode 6, they actually set up the fact that Tessa may have actually been dead all along. After all, if Tessa was human and they figured that out, why wouldn't they have just killed her right off the bat? The biggest factor of this was also in episode 6, when she was confronting that Sentinel. It shows in the Sentinel POV that it says to eliminate AR targets, even though it bit Tessa, who wasn't an AI at that moment. The only reason for the Sentinel to have bit Tessa was because Sin was actually in her. With Sin being an AI, it would make sense that Sentinel would try to kill Tessa. I don't know if anyone else has pointed this out, but it's only now just occurred to me that Uzi's condition with the Absolute Solver got worse when Tessa was around. After all, it almost possesses her at points. However, there's one episode I haven't looked at here yet, and that's Cabin Fever, episode 4. If you remember, some weird shit happens that episode with Uzi and the Absolute Solver. After this animation error, it was shown that Uzi was possessed by the Absolute Solver in some form. Under any other circumstances would she kill any other worker drone? That's right, if she wasn't possessed by the Absolute Solver, and in this episode she was. But the question remains, how would she get badly possessed by the Absolute Solver if Sin wasn't there? However, the thing is, she actually was there throughout the entire episode. Most notably, you can see her in this shot I picked from the Murder Drones wiki. It shows her within her puppet Tessa form. It would explain Uzi's sudden change with the Absolute Solver in this episode. Furthermore, it was only revealed that she had the Absolute Solver in episode 3, where Tessa didn't show up until the very end. And in episode 5, an episode that has Tessa as a main character, Uzi is shown using the Absolute Solver. There's a very simple explanation for why it doesn't get bad. Uzi is never shown near Tessa at any point within the episode. Factor that in with how normal Uzi got after the fake Tessa was killed. If you didn't listen to all of that, that's okay, even though I'll just sum it up for you here. Tessa Elliott was actually fused with Sin whenever she died within the Gala Massacre back in episode 5. However, since then, she's blended in with everyone else, creating a false sense of security. After that sense got interrupted with N, Sin knew the jig was up. That's probably why Sin drops the act of being Tessa Elliott and decides to just be herself for a change. Her lie would eventually be busted. After all my explaining the last 4 minutes as a parody, I can basically finally say that Glitch hid this important plot detail under our noses the entire time. Sin immediately starts feasting on N, which Uzi tries to stop, but that's Absolute Solver host versus Absolute Solvee. And now, since she can be herself, she's decided to start her ultimate plan on Copper 9. It shoots a light straight out of Cabin Fever Labs, where Jay is landing right now. She repeats a beat from episode 3 before she gets hit by a bus. The keys eventually drop down a hole. The boss line from episode 3 basically making a return this time signifies that Jay doesn't really know. She doesn't know about the Tessa Sin connection. She confronts the 2 people who hit her off the bus, who are Lizzie and Thad. Oh, prior hazard is right, lady. I'm just surprised it hasn't happened to you again. Sin tries to kill Uzi and N with the black hole thing. However, she actually values N's life more than her own, and she decides to throw him back onto the floor.
Thanks for, everything.
On the way down, she cuts off one of his legs and stabs him with the car keys. The final measure flings him out of the cathedral. And with that, oh dear God, no, not you too! Basically, in an attempt to stop the Absolute Solver, Uzi sacrifices herself. However, unlike the other 2 people I counted going down that hole, she's not actually dead. She's just been sent to the remains of a distant planet. This is the 3rd episode on the road to end off on a cliffhanger, and this might just be the most powerful one of them all. It's really effective, setting up the finale and the fact that the credits playing are also silent. However, were the quantity of kills in the episode as low as the volume of the music playing over the end credits? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Hey, hold on a second. Don't worry, guys, I'm actually fine.
Or am I?
No, I'm just kidding. But my best count, there were 343 kills in Murder Drones Episode 7. The victims consisted of 4 women, 16 male scientists, and 323 others of unknown gender. Thanks to that spiral, we got a whole lot of gray in this pie chart. Yet again, for some reason. What's with the series and gray pie charts? This is by far the deadliest episode of the entire series, while also subtracting 1 kill from Heartbeat's original 15. Now that one actually has 14 kills now, which I guess we should go and just put on that but on that stat, whatever, it doesn't matter. I less cared about consistency in the show when we're at like episode 3. With a run time of 26 minutes, that left us with a kill on average of 4.55 seconds. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to Doll, since it's an important character and is by far one of the goriest kills of the show. Broken Pistol can just go to those damn spiral corpses. I don't think these people managed to turn in a Dirty Cop 12 years ago. And that's it. Murder Drones episode 7 was released just yesterday, and I don't know how I managed to do this parody so fast. Episode 8 has an unconfirmed release date as of now, but we'll be getting back to parodies on April 3rd with the second part of the Roblox Ragdoll Show Season 7. Until then, I'm Chelsea Rose, and it's been the Parody. Thanks a lot for watching what is by far my longest Murder Drones parody. Seeing this episode live and as an experience I probably will never be able to relive, going through everything with a first glance at what's going on. I'm so glad we got on like better episodes, because episode 6, while still good, had a fair share of flaws, most notably the newsy stuff. Liam Vickers, please don't make that shit.
That's unfortunate.
Welcome to the Parody, where we tally up the victims in our favorite media. I'm Chelsea Rose, and today we're finishing off Murder Drones with episode 8, Absolute End. Now listen, I understand this episode is a little divisive. It's not necessarily a grand finale for this show. That would take an enormous amount of time, and I wouldn't be making this video right now. But the finale only ended up at 21 minutes. In fact, it's one of the shortest episodes of the series, with the only shorter ones being episodes 2, 3, and 5. However, it works at a benefit of the episode, with it basically just being the giant fight scene where everyone just somehow ends up in space. While the writing does have 2 significant faults, the entire grand spectacle of this episode makes up for that. Well, I got nothing else. Uzi and N, you better confirm my counts were correct. The episode begins with the letter H. On Copper 9, it sets the mood of the episode with 33 spiral corpses. That correlates to how many red dots I can count. In the car, some bastard skellies, their dashboard reactivates to become null, signifying that this show's about to be solved. Absolutely. Oh yeah, we also have this guy's hand coming out of the snow. I will also count 2 heads I can see behind these roaches. I can assume these are our bodies we never saw on the show. However, these 2 are Rebecca, the bifurcated girl from episode 4, and Brayden, serial burn victim who got decapitated in that same episode, so they're not being added either. The teacher, after giving Uzi an A, notices his entire class is floating. He couldn't care less. We're spiraled into the central black hole where the entire eldritch horror is hiding. Seeing all this happen from far away is Uzi, who's still chilling in space. She's quickly spinning farther away from her home before a rock from her mother saves her. Wait, but I counted her in episode 7. Well, I guess that means we can erase yet another kill from the count of him. Huh. Nori and Uzi have some nice things going on, like how Nori tells Uzi how she can basically destroy the Absolute Selfer by using vampire rules on Sin. Sin notices this parental advisory, so she promptly sends a ray of light their way, splitting them up before Uzi could get over to the caves. Uzi is saved by a spaceship / landing pod darting through the cosmos. Turns out, and finally has a license for these things. The first 3 minutes are a fantastic example of visual storytelling. You can still understand exactly what's happening, even when no one says a single line until 2 minutes 48 seconds. Uzi's kind of pissed, but quickly reverts back to hugging mode. But in a friendly way, right? Right? Ant's kind of mad too, but that's for a never later, considering that he's playing Wii Party now. That minigame ends, and Uzi tells him my old episode 7 thumbnail before the ship runs out of power. But I also guess not chemistry, yay! Saint's here to tell them to stop this madness, and she combats their plans by destroying the spaceship. In a series of fantastic visuals, and an Uzi fly down towards Copper 9 like they're meteors flying down towards Earth. Fuck, this is cool! Looking at behind the scenes info, Kevin Temer, lead glitch animator who I extensively looked at in episode 5, animated the beginning of the fall. Jacopo Potter animated the other 2/3 of the fall, and Austin Todd provided the sky. As for the fire effects, I couldn't find the source, but it had to be one of the visual effects artists. Before they start the main fight, they cement their friendship with each other, or at least that's what I think is happening, right? Right? Alright? Alright. Now it's time for this planet to suffer the consequences! On another planet, Jay's just chilling. And also, she started with Sin and the Solver. I guess dying right away and never reconnecting until episode 6 does that to someone. Other people flying through the unknown are my boy Con, Tyrone Tad, and Lee Lesbian Lizzie. For her current targets, but she's gonna have to be introduced to the magic of science before she can. Jay just fires a rocket to kill them. Out of freaking nowhere, a sentinel pops up, and someone auto returns the rocket to the sender. Who is it? Well, that might just be some random drone from the manor. There's no way that's— holy fucking shit! V's back! V's back! Fuck yeah! Her sentinel hits Kiyotaka voiced by a weirdo guy, after which it allows her to hold her own against the stuck-on-ice Jay. The awesome fight continues as we get a break from when Lizzie's texting V. That's when V's sentinel finds her and starts a chowdown. Jay freaking explodes on the planet, which sends everyone off somewhere else. The sentinel starts a gas leak, but the continued fight scene floods into it. They spit out their beliefs about whatever's happened to them while they fight. It ends when Jay offers V a truce in exchange for working for Sin. V goes for it, but Jay cuts off half her leg. Before Jay can do anything else, V lets out an Uzi euphemism and does the same with Jay's arm. They get interrupted by Uzi and then flying down to deploy a beam through the entire planet. Jay and V start fighting again directly afterwards. They fly down more and land onto the top of Cabin Fever Labs. Wait, aren't there bodies down there? Are those also just flying through space now, or what? Whatever, Uzi and N have a cool landing. They don't have time for that though, since Sin slowly levitates up there to show them that she has absolute control. Since this is the finale, let's look at who did Sin for a brief moment. Sin was voiced by Alana Fitzgerald. They have 2 videos on their channel showcasing the raw and unedited lines they did for the character. There was post-production editing to make the voice seem more automated, but I was surprised how much their raw voice matches up with the final product.
Shuffle, 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 shuffle.
Also, fun fact, it seems that their partner is still streamer Jimmy here, who's best known for this Vine.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
She drags his surroundings down into nothing and walks towards a single duo with a fretful purpose. That's further confirmed when she assimilates into a literal robotic crab. What is this, Splatoon? She almost solves back Uzi, but she's able to regain control. Too bad for Enver, as he gets whipped away by one of the claws. Uzi is left defenseless as Sin cuts off her arm and oh fuck, takes out her core! As she has a temporary fatal error, I'll add this as Uzi's first ever in-show death. For the first death of Uzi, as always, it was collaborative. Jado Corey was responsible for the first half of it, like the strangulation and the bounce back of Sin's hand. The second half, as in her actual death, was a collaboration by Austin Todd and Joe Marshall. And comes back into the battle, and as he does, Uzi scrapes her insides back into her. Wow, this is kinda graphic. He has a short battle until Sin wraps one of her tentacles around his neck. She then, no joke, tears into him and eventually kills him for a 3rd time by tearing off his head. Uzi is not particularly impressed by her best friend being eviscerated, so she removes the floor beneath both of them. For this scene, animator Eliza Stevenson had to cheat the rigs multiple times to get the shots they needed. This included moving things away from the camera, such as heads, removing other parts, and my favorite, enlarging N for the shot where she initially scrapes against his chest. Awesome work, everybody. Also, so I can properly credit the animators and storyboarders for the work they did, I'll include every original source in the description. This will include stuff I couldn't access and talk about because I wrote this at high school. To get away from Sin, she slants a few more structures until there's a building contactless enough for her and N to enter. Meanwhile, the fight between Jay and V continue outside. Uzi and N make it into the building, but Sin just rushes after them. They're gone by the time we cut back though. She is able to search for him by using her callback powers and a whole fuck ton of hands. This scene is the most disturbing of the episode, which is due to the combination of both Sin's 2,763 hands and the brief flashbacks N has the deaths I assume I already counted. For this scene, Austin Todd made hand loops that the animators could use to make the scene real. They hadn't seen the stop, but the comeback in the second when V also enters the building and starts calling for N. Uzi and N hesitate because she thinks it's a trap. But I don't think they'll know that, since, after all, N faced the V imposter last episode. However, V's actually the one being trapped, as Sin has an N imposter for her instead. Everything seems to stop again, but that's actually just the cooldown for this kill! N's dead again, his core ripped straight out. Sin drags out his body to showcase to V. I don't think she likes— oh, now she's running out. See, Sin? There's a giant issue here now. The only person left untouched after that is Uzi. While she cools down, V is left to wallow in Sin's despair. Just normal things like, you know, all this eating again's core. Jesus Christ, lady! Before she can, I think Uzi, as evidenced by the wings you can see, stops her at the last second and the core lands back in the end. Then it's Deus Ex Machina. The good is back. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a weirder voice. Although, I'll be honest, I do like how I can hear a tiny bit of talk of air. He throws his railgun towards her, but you idiot, she's not even out there yet. Oh, now she's extra screwed when Sin drags the building down into the earth. With Uzi seemingly dead, Sin's last target is V now. For real. A target is hit off screen, but it's actually Sin who suffers the hit, as Uzi used, hope I fucking guess, to come back and save them.
No one traumatizes these weirdly hot robots but me!
Yeah, one question. How did she even regain that hope? When and how will she gain that back? It's only been a minute since we last saw all that happen. I feel as if that's a massive oversight. This Alex self-hope moment would have been better if we saw, I don't know, like one scene where we could get a lead-up or an explanation for this. So here's the general idea. Uzi could still just be in the building, and her brother comes back down to give her that, or something. That would have probably filled half a hole, and this part is a slight tick for me and a bigger one for a few others for the episode. But hey, you're about to see what this episode still kind of rips regardless of that fall. Well, at least Uzi knows V isn't dead now. Yay! Sin is bored, but back off. Uzi's in full control of the solver. She whips out a true statement.
I think dumb things are freaking cool, and
And then an awesome angle expression, expresses that freedom. And, of course, pushing the expressions again was Kevin Tammer. Thus, since we're addicted with 7 minutes left, we have to have one final fight. The running dormant family trait of Nightcore comes back as the original song Bite Me starts playing on a soundtrack. It was composed by another all-star of the series, AJ Despirito, and sang by Seferania. I hope I pronounced that last name right. The more than 2-minute fight begins when both Uzi and Sin run at each other and throw their null holes towards each other, both swirling and going back at Sin to put more life-threatening holes in the ground. Sin and Jay just stand there until Jay sees a railgun blast fire towards her. Oh, and she just get conked by the railgun, lol. The song really kicks in and Uzi and Sin have a sword versus pickaxe fight! What? You know, this was not on the bingo card for the show last year. Sin whips out her claws again, but it quickly backfires when both sword and pickaxe retaliate. Oh, and Uzi's foot does the same. She ragdolls so far away and throws the sword somewhat accidentally through Jay's head, with Uzi home runs towards Sin. She teleports around her until she lands a picata. And? What? Or no, that's just a hologram. Well, that's it. The titular drones enter the fight and confirm that Uzi did strike Sin. With the three main characters finally together again, they go on a sick full offense. V begins by firing rockets at Sin that she avoids. Then N kicks one back towards her, and when she dodges that, takes off her head, which she swiftly puts back on. As with everything, there was mass collaboration. But unlike with other scenes, which had up to 3 animators collaborate on the same shot, every animator had something to do here. Firstly, Kevin Tammer animated the part where Uzi becomes a Wii Sports Pro, as well as the Magic Sapini Ragdoll. Austin Todd joined in for the pickaxe versus sword doll and the symbolism. He also did the V rocket / N kick / Sin header. He also did the part directly after that when N and V fire everything they had at Sin. It's unreal that this is his first time animating action scenes, and for that he had to cheat both the camera and the rigs. He also provided the phone poses earlier. Acrylic animation animated the first 30 seconds, such as the railgun blasting hit, the double nulls, and the song starting, as well as some of the ending stages. Eliza Stevenson also provided some of the fight beginning, and also when the other drones joined the fight. Jacopo Poto animated the part in the fight where V eye poses stop an attack. There's also another prevention he did, Uzi stopping V from death. He did get to do a part of 1 death though. The only animator that didn't get a part of the fight was Jado Corey, although that's because he got hired pretty late into production, so most of the fight material is already done. I have no doubt he helped a bit there, but he was the guy who gave us Bald Sin. Overall, masterful work. I love highlighting the process that goes into making these shows possible. Like I said, VNN wastes their entire supply of ammunition. Sin jump scares them with some good boys and impales them through the chest. He seems unfazed by it because Uzi comes in to slice off her head again. Although that gets stopped when Uzi gets held onto by Sin and her claw hand. However, those plans are also prevented when V comes in to goofily stop her. You know, V, you can step on me too. She then slingshots her back to the ice, and they continue fighting in the background while Uzi and N do their secret handshake or whatever. V is almost again killed by Sin before Uzi delivers an uppercut and a kick directly over the N. They do their secret handshake again before Sin gets N and V out of the picture. With that, Uzi and Sin are the ones in the duel. But out of nowhere again, Sin teleports right where Uzi is holding her hand, and it directly goes over to Sin's core. She rips that thing out with the power of the solver, and a melted core makes the world turn black and white, silent and null. What to give James A. Janice extremely low viewership. The most intense part comes when Uzi and Sin are battling for the one thing I guess controls the world. Just so Sin can't destroy her world, she just gulps that shit. No, Uzi, don't hold it in, it only makes it worse. Her surroundings go back to normal after that, and since we see Sin's body just melt away, I can add our final threat to the count. However, Uzi also isn't normal. Because she ate the nullness, she passes out. When she wakes up, we do see a fatal error on her screen, but I think there's more of a chance that she's just passed out, so I won't add it to the count again. She wakes up on a new Copper 9 where Faz is skating pro now, Lizzie's now without her phone, and where Khan almost falls off but saved at the last minute by Nori, who scurries away directly afterwards.
Kinda hot?
Well, since the teacher made it. That guy's head was so big, Eliza Stevenson actually had to move it a bunch just to get the shot to work. A bus comes out of the hole and a sentinel's on board, much to the dismay of Lizzie. Finally, N and V emerge from the bus and soon find Uzi. Uzi and N embrace, but just still as best friends, right? Right? V still wants some blood, but that's so we can see Uzi's new eye colors, mix of what the murders and herself had. With all that set aside, we could go back to where we began this show, a classroom, last seen all the way back in episode 2. Now, she knows that Colin was maybe right about the outside, but doesn't matter though since she ended racism.
That's my girlfriend!
Yeah, and I know Uzi's a girl, not like I figured it out after 10 seconds of the pilot. V is holding a severed head, and I'll add it to our list, since it's most likely new. Dul's just chilling. She's dead. MD. Murder drones. MD. After Uzi causes a panic to blow up her entire classroom, the series ends with another original song during the credits. And we also get the spiral again, but here's the deal. I've counted all the spiral corpses I need to, so no more spiralers will spiral me into insanity anymore. We see that Jay is the only occupant of the spiral dome, and that the disassembly drones are officially part of worker civilization. During the credits, I could add a final 5 to the list. 1 during this shot of Uzi and Nen, 2 more during this shot, 1 on the TV and another guy down there, and a 1001 we never saw in episode 3. And finally, this arm in the upper left. There's also a memorial for Dull, then back at the deserted camp, an action setup, and a few freaky things. A post-credits scene reveals that Uzi is now the host of the Solver. Bye-bye, murder drones. Did this series finale build up to be the carnival of carnage we were wishing for? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
I need to tell you that N and Uzi are actually dating now.
I'm gonna kill myself. I counted 46 kills in the series finale absolute end. The victims consisted of 5 males, 3 females, and 38 unknowns, most of which, as almost always, are spiral drones. That means we close out the series on the usual pie chart we have for the show. With the episode running 21 minutes long, Murder Drones episode 8 had a kill on average every 27.39 seconds. And since we're at the end of the series, we can just see the total kill count for the entire series at large. So, for the series total, Murder Drones in its entirety had 989 kills. Those kills will have 98 men, 51 women, and 840 unknown kills that litter my screen with corpses. That means this is the average pie chart, and once you know it, it's just great. Also, comparing the episodes to each other, episode 7 is the most deadly, while episode 4 has the least kills of the entire series. With the series lasting 8 episodes, each episode had an average of 123.63 kills. Although that is kind of cheating with all the spirals I sifted through. However, the series had a built-up runtime of 172 minutes, which ultimately leaves us with a kill on average of 10.43 seconds. I'll give Amethyst flavor to Sin. She's basically our big bad, and us meters really love to see something melt. Broken Pistol Spiral Drones. Yeah, and that's it. Murder Drones lasted from 2021 to 2024. This finale was released August 23rd, when let's just say I was preoccupied with rizzing up regular camps. With Murder Drones ending, there will still be a few more things I want to do with the IP, so fingers crossed for a few more shorter adventures. Until then, I'm Chelsea Rose, and this has been The Parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. Honestly, this show throughout the past 20 months has been a blast to go through, so thank you to Glitch and Liam Vickers for making the show happen in the first place. Sorry I waited 6 months for this to happen, but I hope it was worth it. Next up, I got some bigger episodes planned, as obvious by the big media plan I have for 2025. Also, I will be going through another series episode by episode, although it is one I don't like as much. Can't wait to get death threats for those! Thanks for droning!
Also, I have this thing now, and G is peak and awesome and silly. Yay, 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 yay!